And bam, we're live. 37 seconds early. Can you guys hear me okay? Rambler, what's up? Good morning. Can you hear me? Zach, what's up? Saber, Slater. Can you guys hear me? Oh, good. That means good. Will says good morning. Does that mean he can hear me? I got a new Roadcaster. It's crazy. I don't want to say anything bad about this company, but here it goes anyway. I think I've bought probably 10 of these, between the one I bought for Caleb, the one I bought for myself. Souza has one, and then I've probably gone through like 6. And every time there's at least one thing wrong with these things. Now, hey, can you hear me, Andre?
Yeah, I hear you. You hear me?
Oh, awesome. Yeah, crazy.
Perfect.
I wonder if the audience can hear me. I hope so. But I got a new I have a during the podcast, people can call in, and that line that they could call in on, I was having like a little glitch, like it would go ch 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 ch. And this piece of equipment that takes in the phone calls cost $700. And I was like, okay, instead of like sending it back to them, I'm just gonna buy a new one and then like probably sell that one for cheap, like $200 or $300 to someone, and tell them, hey, the phone line's broken. Well, I got a new one, and my new one's broken too.
Oh, damn.
Different problem. I know. So now it's like, well, now I got to send it back, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's worse problems, right?
There must be some. Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. There must be some phrase in Danish that's like so is life or something, right?
Perhaps. I wouldn't know. I don't
Andre,
speak that much Danish.
what
I mean,
is your? Go ahead.
go.
No, you go.
I mean, I speak fluent Danish, but at home we speak English together, and with my parents it's French. With my daughter, it's Danish. She's 1 year old, so we're trying to teach her some Danish.
Is your first language? People who are born in Denmark, their first language is Danish, though, right? Like everyone is talking to you in Danish.
Yeah, exactly. But because it's such a small country, everyone learns English at a very early age, and we don't have anything dubbed, and all the TV and songs are, primarily in English. So, even my grandmother speaks pretty perfect English. Not
And,
that I do, but we at least do for a second language. I think we do a pretty good job.
and you trained with Frederick Egidius, right?
I've never really trained that much with him. We played American football in the same club, and we also played the same position. And so I moved up to kind of he's I think 8 years older than me or something like that.
He
So
is. He's that much older than you.
yeah, I think he's like 36 or 37, and I'm 29. So we
Oh
never
shit!
really
I had
got
no
to
idea.
play
Okay.
together. Yeah, but he played in the same club. So towards like the last couple of years where I played, we started doing some off-season CrossFit, and at this point he was already doing a lot of CrossFit and was with Annie and was pretty famous, and so we started doing some CrossFit, and he was kind of helping the team out with it, and that's also one of the ways I got introduced to it. So yeah.
And the reason why I bring him up, because his English, he doesn't even. There's a couple of you guys over there, and Frederick's Danish, right?
Yeah, 100%.
His English, he doesn't. He sounds like he's American, and I know Mads isn't Danish. Oh, is Mads Danish? Living in
Yeah, I think he's Danish. Yeah,
yeah,
he
his
is
English is
Danish.
crazy. He sounds like he just
Yeah,
felt he's from California.
yeah, like he is incredible languages. Like he can also, like in all the Scandinavian languages, it sounds like he can master all of them. They're pretty similar, but it's still a pretty big task to be able to speak, perfect Norwegian and Swedish and Danish.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's got to be something about that language. You never hear a Russian who has like sounds like they're from the U.S. There's got to be something that some academic could explain, that like, hey, Danish people and English, somehow the way the languages are set up. When you
I
hear
think it's just,
Americans speak Danish, can they trick you into thinking that they're Danish?
no, I don't think
No.
so. But I
Oh.
mean,
All right.
Da-
All right.
Danish is also such a difficult language and odd language, like pronunciation wise. So it's like a really tricky language to learn to sound Danish. I mean, a lot of people can learn it, but it's just difficult to make it sound like you're a local. But I think the reason why we speak more American English is because we have more like the US produces more movies and music,
Right.
and we consume that compared to like the UK or British English. There's just less coming into the country from their side. I don't know why. I mean, they're also way smaller than you guys, so.
I don't want you to take any of this personally. Fuck these guys,
Mhm.
but they're already chiming in. Heidi's saying cancel the tea because she can hear you swallowing.
Oh,
Swallow away. I love swallowing. Swallowing's great. But what I find a little disconcerting here, Andre, is that she thinks you're drinking tea. I feel like that's an attack on your character that she would assume it's tea, or maybe not an attack, but just a judgment. Can you confirm it's tea or coffee?
it's coffee.
Ah, yeah. Fuck you, Heidi. Sorry, I apologize. Sometimes I have to fight with my friends. I tell my kids not to fight when the guests are around. Um, Going back to where you live, I want to show you this. Is this really what it's like, or is this you just trying to like flex on us? Is this really what it's like where you live?
Yeah.
No shit. That's you train in that?
Yeah, I mean that's my home is covered by fields, and that particular field that you're looking at right now, they do that like every third year. It's I don't know what it's called in English, but it's like a sort of oil, rapeseed oil.
Okay, okay, yep,
Uh,
yep.
so they use that every third year. They have like some sort of cycle between, different types of corn and production in order to not ruin the soil, and every third year it's that. So yeah, it's
That's
it's really beautiful.
that's amazing. That is great. And that is your so how far is your actual are you sitting where you're sitting right now close to that field?
Yeah. I mean, that particular field is just 400 meters down the road, but
Crazy.
we have fields all around the house. There's like 3 houses on the whole street. It's like 2 kilometers, so it's pretty remote where I live, to be honest.
Let me ask you some hippie stuff. What about them spraying on those fields and you living by that? Like that affecting your water and you and breathing that in? Like, do they spray poisons on those fields?
They probably do, and I think that's just part of the game.
Part of
You know,
life.
yeah. I mean, I think Denmark has pretty strict regulations on those things.
Yeah,
We're
I would
very
think you
strict
guys
on a
would.
lot of things, so.
Tell me something. Is anything pop in your head that you guys are really strict on that we could laugh at? I mean, I'm from California. It's going to be hard to be stricter than us. Do you guys allow stealing? We allow stealing.
No, I mean, yeah, I feel like a lot of things are illegal here, and we're pretty strict with things, but that nothing really comes to my head.
Okay. You like living there? You think you're going to stay there? That's home for you?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I've lived in Paris, I've lived in Dubai, I have lived in Michigan. So I've lived a few different places, and this is definitely the place I'm gonna stay. I mean, yeah, I'm very proud to be Danish. I'm also half French, so I have dual citizenship. And yeah, Denmark is an amazing country, great welfare, great healthcare system, education system. It's very safe. It's very small, so it's very accessible. It's very international. Like you go to a cafe in Copenhagen, you'll most likely have somebody who will offer you coffee in English, and it's not, speaking Danish. And I like that we have a lot of different cultures like that. I think it's good for you.
Yeah, I agree. And it's small, but still has farmland.
Hmm. Yeah, because only 5 million people. Like compared to the Netherlands, I think they have like 17 million, and they have a country that's, I think, one third of the size of ours. So we have maybe not a big country for the amount of people. I mean, compared to Sweden, they have double as many people, but they have, I mean, maybe tenfold the size of the country.
Right, right. You're born there. Are your parents farmers? How do you end up living in a field of how do you end up living in fields? Are your parents farmers?
No, I've I've never even been out here before we purchased the house here. We uh we always just had this dream, me and my fiance, to live in the countryside because we wanted to have like a place where we could do all the things that we love to do, have a training facility where we could coach people, and have an office where we can operate our company out of, a place where, with a big garden where our kids or our kid can play games and sports and run around. Our dog can run around, maybe grow some of our own vegetables, and just generally speaking, have peace. And as we work remotely primarily, there was no point of, for the same amount of money living 75 square meter apartment inside of Copenhagen with a 1 square meter bathroom. Out here we have almost 500 square meter house and 3,500 square meters ground. I don't know what that's equivalent to in foot, but in this country, that's a pretty big place. And because of the country is really small, it's only 1 hour from city center. So whenever I need to go to Copenhagen, it's only 1 hour, and my family lives there, so it's also not so far away. So this was kind of the best middle ground we could have between
Oh, your
having,
house is huge. Your house is
mhm,
huge. That's
yeah,
5,300 square feet in the United
yeah,
States. Like
yeah,
that would be in my neighborhood. That would be a fucking $10 million home. That'd be crazy. I
yeah.
don't even see. I don't even see 5,300. And I kind of live in the country too. That's nuts. Wow. Um, and what is your vocation? What do you do? What jobs do you have out there? Are you a farmer?
No, I'm a coach.
Full
I coach
time.
CrossFitters.
Full
hmm
time.
hmm
I knew that. I just wanted to ask
I'm
you
a
if you were a farmer.
I'm a former athlete.
Yeah, yeah. That what an interesting journey you took. And so that is full time for you.
hmm
And they come out there to you. That's why it's important for you to have space and room. They come out to you.
For training camps, yeah. We don't have like any on-site athletes that live here or train like daily out here, but we host. I think last year we hosted maybe 5 or 6 training camps out of the home here. We also have like a 75 square meter like apartment upstairs where we have 5 bedrooms, or not five, sorry, not 5 bedrooms. We have basically like 2 rooms and there's 5 beds. So next weekend we're hosting, or 2 weekends we're hosting our first training camp of the 224 kind of season, and there we have 6 athletes sleep at the house and be able to train at the facility. So on a daily basis we don't have any, and I'm not sure if we're going to, but for now we just use the training camp format, and that works really well.
Um, and the name of the training program is No Shortcuts.
Yeah, no shortcuts training.
And how long has that been around?
It's been around 3 years, but my fiance and I started our first coaching company doing the same as we do now in 2015, and that was called Trinity, and that was our first, yeah, programming brand, and that later evolved to No Shortcuts Training in 2020 when we moved back to Denmark. So it's 3 years of that, but it's 8 years of running, programming company, coaching company.
Train and see.
Trinity. That was the
Oh,
first.
train and see. Okay, well, hey,
Yeah.
anyone out there, I just came up with another good one then. I like mine too. Train and see, right?
Mhm.
Train and see what happens. It's short for train and then see what happens. Train and see. That
Not
could be
bad.
one of your modules, train and see.
Yeah, it could be a side project.
Yes. You have so much time for side projects.
Oh
You
yeah.
talk you talked about dividing your time between being an athlete, being a father, and being a coach. And have you
Mhm.
removed athlete from that?
I wouldn't say athlete. I would just more say like sports. I would not consider myself an athlete if I'm not competing and if I'm not training to compete. That's if athlete is not the number one thing that I do, then I wouldn't say that I'm perhaps an athlete. But I mean, depends on how you look at it. I'll still be training, a couple hours every single day or 6 days a week, and I'll still be getting, better at CrossFit and fitter overall, but I'm not gonna be putting, for now at least, more time than that into it, and it's not a primary goal. So training is the third priority on the list.
Do you have a competition itch? Do you have a goal that you don't speak out loud? Like, okay, watch when I'm 40 what I'm gonna do.
I'm extremely competitive, and it doesn't need to be in sports for me. Like right now, it's with building No Shortcuts Training and being
Mm.
a good leader in that company and trying to provide the best coaching that is out there available. And that comes with pushing myself to learn more and to build a good team around me that can that can help with that mission. So I don't have a competition goal per se where I participate myself, but my number one goal is to help the athletes that I work with do the best they can do and achieve their goals.
From over here, the the limited knowledge we see or the time we have to put into athletes and people in the community, everyone would just, I think, sees you as a you were two-time games athlete. Oh, bye, Andre.
Sorry, you
Welcome
fell
back.
out.
Welcome back to the show. Are you two times games athlete, Andre?
I'm two times individual, and then I've qualified once on team, and I've been once on team. So I have 4 qualifications and 3 participations.
Okay, and I think you're most well known, at least in the circle that I run in, as an individual athlete, specifically very strong, great at the Olympic lifts, and a ton of potential. And then you stepped out and you started coaching. And I think the way you're so sure of yourself and the way you present yourself, and I think also in the cleanliness of your movements, people, you've climbed quickly in terms of people having respect for you and your potential now as a coach. But before we go into that, that is at the tip of the spear isn't the only place you hang out. You have crazy street creds. You have a client that you help lose 280 pounds.
Yeah, Mohammed.
Yeah, that's amazing. And there's another picture where you're at the beach with him. Can you tell me about that journey? When a guy shows up at your gym weighing 530 pounds, he came out to the farm. He came out to the fields.
No, this is when I lived in Dubai. I lived in Dubai for
Okay.
3 years.
Okay.
So yeah, I worked in a gym called Inner Fight, and we had a lot of amazing clients, and Mohammed was one of them. And he came in with the goal of losing weight, and he was weighing, over 500 pounds and could barely even walk, wear shoes or anything like that. And I was very fortunate to be able to be part of his journey and helping him, get a more normal life by losing weight and introducing training and fitness. And it was a really great journey to be part of for the couple of years where I was there. And it was just amazing to see how he found a love for sports. And he actually had a lot of also natural talent. I mean, from carrying around so much body weight, you just build a lot of strength. So as he was losing, hundreds and hundreds of pounds, he was just moving really like well and powerful. And it was just amazing to see how happy that made him. And how the other things in his life also started changing, became more social, and yeah, just got more creative, more hobbies otherwise that he could not have done, because just when you weigh over 500 pounds, you can't really do much.
He
So
couldn't. He was so he had so much extra weight on him that he couldn't put shoes on. Is basically what you're saying. His feet were fat.
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. Can you tell me about his first day when he comes in? And was any part what? How did you grow as a coach? Was any part of you was like, fuck, I don't want to deal with this. This isn't what I do.
No, no, I
No.
mean, if you're a coach, you love helping people getting from A to B. That's part of it. It doesn't matter if it's somebody who wants to win the CrossFit Games or lose weight. I mean, now I have more focus on people who compete in CrossFit, but when I started out as a coach, it was, the regular Joes, and that's not worse or better than the other. It's, everyone is on their own journey, and helping him was really incredible. And the first day he came in, it was just mostly a chat and getting to know him, and this a slow start. And with time, we build also friendship, and that also just helps that process and him trusting me more, and wanting to come more and wanting to do more, and that just helped that weight loss process a lot.
How about going the opposite direction? Was any part of you? You're saying you're very competitive. Was any part of you when you walked in, you're like, oh God, I hope I get him. Like I could do some. This is what a fucking challenge. Because you made a new human being.
Mhm.
Going from
Yeah,
500 to 250 is like, I mean, you're not the same person.
no, no, that's 100% true. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. It's with everything that comes in, it's always a challenge. And when you're a competitive person, you combine competitiveness with passion for helping others, then yeah, I think that's the perfect combo in helping people. So yeah, it was a great challenge, and I loved being a part of it.
Andre, what's his first workout?
His first
A
workout,
guy who walks 530 pounds. What do you do for the first workout?
I mean, at this point, he couldn't even stand up for long periods of time, so we need to start with something where he was seated. That was anything we could be as creative as possible with. It was like seated skiing and seated banded exercises and seated dumbbell exercises. Actually, a little bit like, with the adaptive athletes in the wheelchair. I took some inspiration from them. What kind of exercise can you do if you're sitting down? And then it was just about making it fun and making it progressive, so that next time he came, maybe we were going a little bit further on the ski, or we were lifting a little bit heavier, so that he could feel that, oh man, I could actually do a little bit more today. Maybe his muscle tissue and neurological system hadn't adapted already from day to day, but I could start him, maybe 5% less at a lesser level than he actually could perform at, and then like that we could every week, you know, advance it instead of having him start at what he was 100% capable of, and then we could not really advance that much week after week. We were able to just start a little bit lower and then keep the momentum for longer periods of time.
Hey, I hear lots of stories. It's crazy how common this story is, where someone who is 100 pounds overweight, 200 pounds overweight, they pull up to the CrossFit gym, they're in their car, and then they drive away. And then they pull up again and they're in the parking lot, and then they drive away. And then you hear one day a coach is like, yo, and walks out to their car, and they're like, dude, come inside. And I remember Greg telling me he had a client that I think was over 200 pounds overweight. And the first workout was getting them out of their car, walk them to the gym, sit them down, talk with them for 20 minutes, and then walk them back to their car. And it was like you were saying, like Muhammad could barely walk, right? He could barely stay on his feet.
Yeah.
Does he have a story like that where he didn't want to come in, or he was scared? Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, he did. His sisters were training in the gym, so they have been trying to convince him for long periods of time, and they were quite fit. And yeah, and then they're like, "Hey, I think Andre would be a good fit for you." And because the place where I worked, it was a lot of big, intimidating men and
Like big
women.
Just big, tons of buffed, yeah, great, beautiful people.
Yeah, like they made me definitely look like a little kid, and also some of them were games athletes. Even the girls like Mia Heskett was working there, Carmen Bosmans, Phil Heskett. It was just hardcore people, and
It would be
also the
intimidating
boss.
for anybody.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like in the place called Inner Fight with the slogan "Show no weakness." It can be intimidating, but I think it's also that intimidation that kind of brings attention to the brand and why people are keen on like learning more about it.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a crazy balance, but I think that's an important one people should never forget. The people who do CrossFit like it because it's hard, and they want to excel, and they want adaptation, and they want change, and they don't want to waste time. They want to get down to business.
And I mean, I think everybody chases that. To have a good life, I don't think you can have a good life without doing something difficult almost every day. Like
even if you
like
had
a rule.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to try to do something difficult every day, and it can be anything. It can be pushing a little harder in the workout, or doing something that's boring but necessary, or reading a bit more, or doing some things that are just, it doesn't need to be a huge thing, but it needs to be a small thing. It can also be taking a cold dip in the ocean, or just do something that's difficult, because only through difficulty, I think you can get a meaningful feeling. I think instead of chasing things that are fun on a daily basis, like watching something that's fun, I mean, that's nice as well, but fun, I don't think it's very superficial. But difficulty, overcoming that's a whole nother level, and that's what makes you feel truly good. And yeah, end of story.
Well, I interview a lot of people who have never done anything difficult. All they've done is CrossFit. They've never done anything. Well, they've done physically difficult things. They've never done anything mentally difficult. And because of that, talking to them is completely fucking, it's like talking to a fucking bag of cotton balls.
But you don't think that's mentally difficult? Doing hard workouts?
CrossFit. It is, but it's in such a narrow domain. It's in such a narrow place. Let me give you an example. As opposed to someone who has a kid who didn't know where they were going to get every meal every night, and their dad was beating their mom. Now they have a survival challenge.
Yeah,
and you
100%.
talk to them, and you're like, oh, this person's got some depth. They've had to make some room. The circumstances of life have brought them into something that they're forced to face. By that,
But
that's what I mean. But go ahead.
But don't you think you can have depth without having experienced those things? Do you think you have to go through those things in order to have it, or could you learn it from speaking to people or reading books? Or
No, I don't. I think
no?
when you talk, no, I would be curious what you think. I think when you talk to those people who've learned depth as opposed to been forced to go there, it is a it's
Yeah,
like
it's two
talking to
different things.
someone. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not value there. Like if someone's read every book on roller coasters and they talk to you about roller coasters, they may be very eloquent in talking about the twists and turns and the G forces. But you talk to someone who's been on all the best roller coasters in the world, and they're going to emote some shit. You know what I mean?
Do
And
you think it's the
there's
same with coaches?
yeah.
Do you think you have to have been an athlete to be a good coach?
I don't know about that, but I did think of something you were saying when you said you're still really competitive. I thought, wow, that means that your athletes have to perform for you and they feel an accountability to you because they don't want to be fucking up your program or your reputation. And in my brain, some people would think that's unhealthy. I think that's very healthy.
Yeah, I
Do
think
you know what I mean? I think you
mean,
should want to perform for someone. I think people are like, oh, you should just want to do it for yourself. You should just want to do it for yourself. I think that's important. But I also think that when you show up on game day, like I think it's good to want to impress someone.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at kids and sports, I mean, you always want to impress your coach or your teammates, and I don't think there's a problem with that. I think as long as you're intrinsically driven, then it's a plus when you know you're accountable to your coach. And I think that's exactly why people hire a coach. It's because they want to be having to be also accountable to them, because it's not that they don't have discipline to be accountable, but it just helps that process. And if it helps the process, it would be a disadvantage not to take, to use it.
I was jumping rope with my sons the other day, and I was doing we were doing just sets of 100 with the jump rope, and then rest, and then do another set of 100, and we were doing 10 rounds. And anytime I sensed myself getting lazy or not chest up or anything, I wouldn't have cared if it was by myself, but with him there, I wanted him to sense no weakness. I wanted him to sense some things that you taught: intention, discipline, focus. You know what I mean? I don't talk. I look forward. I turn it on. I perform for him so that he can emulate. I feel the pressure of being a father, and I like it. And I love it. I fucking love it. Yeah.
I think having kids makes parents better people for sure. Like you want to impress your kids. You want to be a good leader for them, or at least I think you should. It's not sure that everybody does that, but you should. And I think it's the same as when you have a coach. And I think that's also why it's important that you can be very close with your coach. There can be an incredible bond, but it's not a friendship. For us, and I definitely try to not break that line between, it's coach and athlete. You're hired for a job, and your job is to help them get to their goals. And you can build an incredible bond, and you can spend a lot of time together, and you can have a really good emotional bond with them. But you don't call them mate, bro, friend, homie, and you always talk to them in a professional way, and you also in return want them to talk in a professional way to you. So there's always a bit of distance that's never broken. And I think that's key for the coach to do their job, so that when the athlete is at the competition and they ask themselves the question, am I ready? Have I done enough? The coach is there to answer that question and say, yes, you are. And because it's not your friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, it's your coach, you trust when he says or she says, you're ready. You trust that decision because that bond you've never broken that bridge between, being a coach or friend to the athlete.
What a fucking great conversation. So let me bring this up. Is that one of the? Would you be hesitant to let someone stay at the facility for longer than a training camp because of that, so that intimacy wouldn't form?
No,
Have you ever
because
talked to?
yeah,
Go ahead.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
I wouldn't.
No.
No, I
What?
wouldn't.
I think Ben Bergeron has alluded to the fact. I should have him back on and ask him this. That if he could do it again, maybe he wouldn't have gotten as close with Katrin. I'm just totally making that up from stuff I've read in, but that like maybe having her stay at the house was too much. Now he hasn't said that. I'm thinking maybe he alluded that. Have you ever spoken with him about that? Because he builds some intimate bonds. It's clear he's very close with her, with Cole Sager. And
No,
then of
no,
course
I
there's the
honestly.
couples too. I'm not pushing back. I'm just exploring. Then there's the
Mm.
couples too, right? Frederick and Annie, Shane and Miss Tia. There's the couples also. I mean, you could even say Sammy and Matt. Not that Sammy was his coach, but she was involved in his nutrition and she was there for all of it. Is there a way? Is there a place that those fit in, or you just think that those are just outliers?
I definitely think those fit in. I just think they're way more challenging
Mm,
because they'll have to be able to switch on and off between when it's game time and when it's not game time, or when it's the coach hat on and when it's the girlfriend or boyfriend or friend hat on. Um, and and yeah, I definitely just for me it's easy to have that space in between, and I also always encourage them to bring their girlfriend or boyfriend to the competitions or to events in the future. I mean, I currently haven't been out with any athletes as their like coach's past coach. That's something I'll be doing going forward. So I've only been there as like I'm competing myself and I'm helping them when I'm not competing on the floor. But they have their girlfriend or boyfriend there who provides all the emotional support,
mm,
which I am not there for. And I really love that balance. So the ideal situation is that I'm there with the coaching pass. I'm taking them through the warm-ups, the cool down strategy. We debrief the workouts. We have the tough conversations. Was this good enough? Was it not good enough? How are we going to make it better in the next event? Those kind of things without emotions, just pure, did we execute? Did we not execute? There's no emotions tied in that situation. It's just practicality. And then they have the girlfriend or the boyfriend they can then go to and then have, their downtime between events,
what
their
about your wife? Did
calmness.
you coach your wife, Andre?
No, but she has been
No.
my like number one support person throughout my whole career. So she hasn't been programming for me, but she has been able to also have the two hats on, tell me when, I should trust myself more and when I need to push harder and when I need to go for it and when I don't need to. And but at the
Mm.
same time also been there to give me a hug if it didn't work out. But we have always been really good at compartmentalizing feelings at events, which means that something doesn't go well, then the best thing to do is just take all the feelings and put them in a little box and then put them away and then open that box in another time because you're in the middle of war, right? You don't
Yeah.
wanna sit down and we don't. So we also don't talk about it. It's like, okay, didn't go well enough. We know that we prepared as good as we could. Just move on, and then next event. How do we attack this event even better? And so yeah,
You don't talk about it because you see it as like an indulgence, like maybe drinking too much, like you're
it's just
indulging.
irrelevant.
Mm,
It doesn't help the next event. It doesn't help the competition going forward. And if with all the athletes, we always have a saying. It's 0-0. It's a after every event. It's 0-0. It
mm,
mean it's a metaphor for scores are back to nil. It doesn't matter if they're leading 5 goals ahead of you or you're 5 goals behind. It's 0-0, and especially when somebody does well. When Jelle
wow.
comes
Okay.
at the semifinals and he wins the first event, there's no congratulations. It's he just gets a message from me saying it's 0-0. This means nothing because we want to keep the athletes. If there's a spectrum of being super hyped and being super calm, then we want to have them right in the middle. And my job is to make sure that they stay in that middle because we think they perform best. We're in the middle in this hyped calm spectrum. That's when they can focus mostly. When they're too hyped, if you go in and win an event, like you're hyped up. There's enough, and you can use that as momentum, but you definitely need to dial things down in order to go into the next event with the momentum of, being positive because something good happened, but not being, overly positive because it essentially means nothing because it's only one event and you can blow it in the next event. And so my job is just always to try to feel where they are at in that spectrum and give them, not a hard time if I see they're in one end or the other, but how can I place them in the middle? And that's different from the different athletes. Some needs a hand on the shoulder that's a bit softer, and some needs, to be roughed up a little bit more, and that's a learning process. I haven't been working with all the athletes for an incredibly long time, but the more I get to know them, the more I can help them better.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Everything you're saying makes sense mathematically, functionally, practically. Do I have an echo?
No.
But I sometimes hear an echo. I'm so frustrated with this roadcaster right now. You see these athletes cross the finish line and explode, right? Like a Josh Bridges or the Daniel Brandon, or there's just this expression that they have and the crowd goes crazy, right? And you feel the authenticity of it, right? It's like just excess burning of fuel. You know what I mean? It's like those dragster cars where they shoot the flame out the hood. But then you see these other athletes like Colton Mertens. I'm like, yo, you excited? You just won an event at the CrossFit Games. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Are you excited? You pumped up? He's like, I'm just cool. I'm just, staying chill. I don't know. I just, maybe I'm just stuck in the fan of me, but I want to see, is it called emoting? I want to see an emotional, like, outburst.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
agree.
Like I want to see it like look up to the crowd and like I fucking told you so. Or who wants a piece of me, or I'm number one. Even if they're in last place, I don't care. Like when Jack Farlow makes the lift, I want to hear him be like, yeah, who's the strongest motherfucker here? You know what I mean? Like I want to see it. But
I think that's important.
You do think it's important. Okay.
Yeah, because
so you're not
it comes
saying
down
completely
to
squash that.
No, this is mostly in between. This is in between.
Okay.
So when they're at the event, it's you, and especially if you do well, like you should celebrate that, and you should. If you're not celebrating, you need to start doing it, because if you don't know how to celebrate the small wins in a one workout, you're not going to know how to celebrate when you qualify for the CrossFit Games or when you win an event at the Games. And if you don't know how to celebrate those, then you're not going to feel anything when you do really well. And if you're not feeling anything, then what the hell are you doing it for? Like it has to, doing sports, it's about passion, right? I think everybody's doing because they're very passionate about it. And I think it's important to express that, not for the crowd, not for the fans, but for yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's when you do, when you like, I think every competitor has had that moment when they do something great and they just celebrate and just comes instinctively, and they never forget that moment. And the moments I've had with that, they can carry training for 1 year just to chase another moment like that. And so I think that's why it's important. So the calming down is mostly about just in between events. We just want to make sure that they're focused. They're not, because when athletes are in the warm-up area, they're all nervous. So, and this is I think the warm-up area is where it happens. That is where the coach role is the most important, because this is when it can all fall apart. Everybody's nervous, but some of the athletes, they don't know that the other athletes are nervous, and they also don't know that it's normal that they're nervous. So they think it's a problem. And so they make a problem out of it and maybe think, I'm not ready. And so if they don't have anybody there who's there to tell them, hey, everybody's nervous here, I can tell you that because I've been there and I've spoken to a lot of them. So no matter how they carry themselves, it doesn't matter. I mean, then arguably you can use a strategy to carry yourself really strongly, because just as much as the mind affects the body affects the mind. So that's also one of the things, we look for, is like, we want our guys to look strong, even if they're not feeling strong, even if they're not confident about that event. They need to carry themselves like they're going to go in there and crush this event, and not crush it in terms of winning the event, but crush it in terms of just doing their best with their best strategy. I kind of lost the thread where we're going with this.
We're just talking about emotion, controlling emotion, using emotion, and yeah, and I like what you're saying. It's in between the events. Like, hey, you got to stay even keeled. You can't be just turn into just a gelatinous sack of shit and be crying and throwing a pity party. It's like you said, it's 0-0.
Also, because emotions are poor dictator of anything.
Or like, what? Say that again. A poor what?
Emotions are a poor dictator of indicator, not dictator.
Oh, okay.
Indicator of the outcome. Like sometimes in training you can feel horrible in the warm up and you PB your snatch.
Right.
Sometimes you feel great and you don't PB. And so, like, we always just try to explain people that it doesn't matter how you're feeling. That's irrelevant. That's also why I will never ask you how you're feeling, because that's not a question. The answer to that question is not going to help us in any sort of way. We're here to do the job. We're here to, express all the work you've been doing. And so whether you're feeling great or not, just like in training, you've been feeling bad sometimes, you can still go out there and have a great session. And it's the same on the floor. So regardless of how you're feeling, we're going to go get the job done. And that's also just an important reminder for the athletes. And it's something they need to be reminded of often, because you just forget it, because there's so many things that you're trying to master when you're trying to be a CrossFitter, not just the physical, but all the mental reminders.
Sean Lenderman, I wonder if Matt Torres regrets getting so close to Danielle Brandon. No, I'll answer that unequivocally. No, he's very happy with the situation. Andre, you know what I'm hearing from you? That I'm making the presupposition that you want your athletes to do well, the best they can be, and that even in your coaching, you have intention. You're like, why would I ask you how you feel if I don't think that question or that answer is going to get you further towards your goal? I have intention at all times, not only, and I've heard you explicitly say it in many videos and regarding your own personal training, but now I see it in your coaching. You're not faking it. You've thought this out. You're watching. You're like, you've talked about the relationship. What's the best? You're not indulging in the relationship. What's the best relationship I can have that will help them get to their goals? And then even like the words, the small talk that comes out of your mouth. Why would I say, how are you feeling, if it's not going to further?
Yeah.
You win.
I thank you. And I think a lot about these things, like, especially now that
not only you think about them, you have them in action.
Yeah. I try to make, answers for any possible scenario that can happen. So especially for warm-up area and for post-event, when they come out of the event and everything didn't go as planned and they're on the runner that didn't work at the semifinals, they're coming to the coach. That coach better have an answer ready that's going to help that athlete for the coming events, because that's your job. Like,
what is the answer? I come to you. What is the answer, Andre? Okay, I'm your athlete. Andre, my runner's fucked up. My runner was going slower than the other runners. That's fucking bullshit. And we start another event in 30 minutes. This is fucked up. Oh,
it's out of our control. So it's out of our control would be the first thing. If it's equipment failure, then my job is to make sure we speak to CrossFit about it to see what I can do. But I mean, I think the best trick, my sister, she's a psychologist. And so she also helps me a lot in how to both deal with, like building a staff and also relationship and athletes. And one of the things she always taught me is, like, rather ask questions than give answers. So if they come with an outburst, then instead of saying, this is what you're going to do. I mean, sometimes, of course, that is what I'm going to say. You're going to do this and so on. But sometimes the best is just to ask a question like, what do you think is the best thing you can do right now? What do you think is the solution? Like, to be super upset about it, or just move on and crush the next event? Like, what? And then, because it gives them empowerment when they give the answer. Mm-hmm. So if I can make them give me the answer that I wanted them to say, then they feel even more ownership of that decision. Mm-hmm. Rather than if I say, Yeah, it's like if your parents would say, clean up your room when it's not clean, right? Instead, they could say, do you like having a messy room? Like, do you enjoy it just looking messy and, you can't find your stuff? And of course, the kid's gonna say, no, why would I even like that? Well, perhaps it would be then better to clean it up, wouldn't it? Not then you should clean it up. Then wouldn't it be better? And then the answer would be yes. And then there you go.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
it's solved.
yeah. I I love that. I love that. Were you? Do you think you were born a good athlete, or do you think you earned it all, or 50-50, or
I definitely don't think I'm very gifted, but I think I have very good work ethic and you know, yeah. My sister, she's in a wheelchair, so I think I've always felt that I should use my physical potential. Like I needed to carry her as a child because I was the closest brother to her. So I always knew I wanted to be strong enough to carry her and also show her that she was no problem to lift around, that it was easy. And also to show her, hey, since you can't use your body the same way that a normal person can, then I'm definitely gonna make sure that I take advantage of the fact that I can. And yeah, so I don't think I'm very gifted. Both my parents are quite athletic and have done sports, so I'm fortunate in that sense. But I think I've been fortunate to be with a lot of talented people, so I have not been getting the same attention as them, and because of that, I have wanted to work harder than them because maybe nobody had me in their cards. And I think that was definitely the best gift that I had with CrossFit is that I trained with two other guys. This one coach kind of formed this three-man group, and we were finished with school, and we just went all in on CrossFit, and it was like nobody really paid attention to me or thought I was going to be one of the good guys. It was more, one of the other guys were just the mentally toughest, and the other guys was like extremely gifted, and I was the third wheel of that group. But luckily I'm the one who made it to the CrossFit Games. Maybe because of
the
it.
other two guys never made it?
No.
Hey,
Um,
are you older than your sister?
yeah, 4 years.
And she was always in a wheelchair?
Yeah, she's born in muscular atrophy. It's called SMA2.
Um, and so I would use that as an example of something that would give you more depth because life gave you a challenge or something that was out of like the norm, as opposed to someone who was
Mm,
born with just like you know what I mean? All of a sudden now you have a challenge that other people around you have. So you're getting experience in depth and you're having to see the world differently. Um,
mm,
then you have different challenges than other people, right? Other people might have a
mm,
challenge of like fighting with their sister, or you have a challenge of like, hey, every morning when you get into the car, you got to make sure her wheelchair gets in there when you go to school or something.
mm. Yeah,
And I would say that brings value to your life in terms of what you could share with other human beings. And when people don't
yeah,
have that, I feel like I notice that when I'm talking to them.
yeah,
They're not even good. They're not even guarding anything.
yeah,
Everyone should be
yeah.
guarding one secret. Um, uh, um, Even if you don't know what it is. Uh, how many siblings do you have?
I had two. Now I have one. My brother passed away 8 years ago in an accident.
8 years ago?
Yeah. So talking about depth, that's definitely something that creates depth in a
Oh
person.
yeah, wow. And how old's your baby?
She's 1 year and 1 month.
Wow. You're so at 21 years old, your brother passed.
Yeah. So I just thought I basically just started CrossFit, and he was the one coming out to all the competitions with me, and he was the one who we had decided to, try to make it to the top, and that's also what fueled me massively. I mean, that has definitely been the biggest fuel source because I'd promised him that I was going to make it to the semifinals and I would one day make it to the top, and so and I'm a man of my word, and so I was not gonna let anything stop me getting that goal. And I think that's definitely a dangerous type of mindset to have too, because life is unpredictable and stuff can happen. But yeah, this one I was definitely never gonna let go. So it was gonna hunt me forever or I was gonna achieve it. And I'm lucky and fortunate to say that that things worked out.
So at 21, when he was still alive, you had talked about it, and you're like, "Hey, I want to go to the CrossFit Games." And then when he passed away, you looked up to the heavens and said, "Brother, I'm gonna make it there for you."
Yeah, I mean, if we literally have it on text, like, you know, I promise you I'm gonna make it. So it wasn't even like we had talked about this many times, and he had been with me to competitions where I've gotten absolutely destroyed. But he believed in me so much, and we were close growing up, but not close like that. So that's why, like, when we got older, we got really close again. Not that we were not close, but you know, sometimes like brothers fight, and
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, you know, the little, maybe sometimes annoying little brother. I always had his back. He always had my back. But, you know, I was also very busy helping my little sister. And, you know, when you're the middle child, you just basically try to not make any trouble and just, you know, especially when you have an older brother who is kind of making some trouble and a little sister in a wheelchair. Then when you're in the middle child, your job is just to make sure that you get straight A's in school and you make no trouble and you make no problem and you help out.
That's your sister in the middle there?
Yeah.
Uh, since you had your kid, this is way off subject. Since you had your kid, do you trip on what your parents must have gone through losing their son? Have you reprocessed that whole thing now that you're a father and been like, oh shit?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But it also has definitely helped our family like get further in the healing process. Like now that she's here, it's like, okay, I feel now we're ready for living with it better. You know, you never
Yeah,
get
yeah,
over it,
yeah.
but now you can like carry it on in a better way because it seems not that there's been some sort of transaction, but it's like, okay, we have a new person here and yeah, so that's helped the family massively. My sister can't have children, so you know, if I don't have children, then and my brother was gonna have a lot of children, and also right before he passed away, he was gonna get married and have children and a lot of
Wow.
things. So that's also why it was, you know, a big blow for the family because he had an incredible ambition and was, you know, also just chasing big dreams and was gonna have, you know, a big family man and all these things, and all of a sudden, you know, boom, that's gone. But
Uh,
I always wanted to have children because, and I think that's also why I love coaching. I like taking care of other people because that's what I've been used to since I was a child, and that's also my biggest weakness athletically. I am struggling to prioritize myself, and that's a must as an athlete. You have to put yourself first in a lot of cases, and when you constantly put yourself further down that list, you're gonna make compromises. And in a competitive sport like this, you rely on your preparations, and if preparations are constantly shattered from you not prioritizing yourself, then you're not going to be the best.
can you give me an example of you not prioritizing yourself? Anything. It can be superficial.
Yeah, like if I know that I can help my family with something and I'll need to spend the whole day going there, I'll miss my whole training day for it.
Mm.
Like, and you have to think like, for me at least, when I go to a competition, I want to arrive calm, and I can only be calm and confident if I know I've done the work. And in our
Ah,
kitchen, we have a big whiteboard, and there's 4 columns on that whiteboard, or there's 5 columns essentially. There's one with there's dates on for the month. There's one that says sleep. The next one says mindset. The next one says training, and the next one says nutrition. And every morning I wake up, if I've slept, well, at that point it was 10 hours. I crossed that box. That's definitely not possible as a parent. The next
right.
box was mindset. We define mindset in 3 brackets. Either it's taking a cold shower, because that sets the tone for the day. That's a mental challenge that can, I feel, at least create some momentum for the rest of the day. It's either doing that or 5-minute journal or reading for 5 minutes, something like a biography by an athlete. Perhaps it will be something in those 5 minutes that will help propel myself for the next day, for the throughout the day. So Second box check. All right, I got 2 boxes checked. It's, 7 a.m. in the morning. Third box is training. That can only be checked after the second session, and that's defined as I've done my best. I've given the best of what I had today, and once I've checked that box, there's 1 box left, and it can only be checked before I go to bed because that's nutrition. And so the last like supplements I'll take is right before bedtime, and once I've taken them, check. And so when I rock up at the semifinals, and I bombed the first event, but I know that I have checked 90% of the boxes for 8 months. I know that no matter where I finish in that event, that's my best, and I can be calm. I can move on to the next event. And that's what happened, in the 222. I bombed the first event, and everybody was like, "Are you sick? Are you like?" They were imagining it was over for me, and then from there, I was able to turn things around and win a couple events and finish second and eighth, but I was never shattered by the first event because I knew that the preparations were done, and so yeah.
I want to go back to the sibling thing and a new life coming in. I didn't lose a sibling, but I had this like nagging thing in my head that maybe a lot of people have, that I was concerned about my parents dying, and and probably selfishly, like how that was going to affect me and it hurting. And once I had kids, whatever that was went away, and it was filled with watching. Maybe it's because my parents loved their grandkids so much, but it was filled with that. Like I was able to move on past that sort of that irritation that I had of this impending life event where my parents would pass. And so, although I can't even imagine, I recently had someone at the CrossFit Games sit me down for like 40 minutes out of the blue and tell me about how they lost a child, and it fucking rocked me, right? And this dude had another child, right? But basically, like, that other child is now like the only reason he's alive, right? Because part of you, like, if your child dies, it's like, what's the point of living, right? It's like that was your whole. I mean, at least I'm assuming for a lot of parents, that's like our whole existence. But it is incredible now that you say it like that. Your parents probably, they can pour that energy into their new grandchild that maybe that was in that pain. They could, like an alchemist, right? They can sort of mutate that energy and pour it into a kid. I'm guessing that's what's happening, right? It gives everyone hope, life. It's like we have a new miracle.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're a parent, you realize that having a kid is a miracle, because it's not just getting pregnant and then it's all cool. Like, every test you go to, it's like, we hope this test goes well. And it's every month or every third month, there's a new test, and you pass the 1 mark, and then it's the next mark, and then it's the birth, and then at the birth, still 1,000 things can go wrong, and the heart rate all of a sudden drops, and it's going to be a C-section or whatnot, and then the child comes out, and then even there, oh, let's just check if everything is okay. It's that process just continues, and therefore it is a miracle once you have, especially a healthy child. You really feel grateful for it, because it is a miracle to some extent.
Is your wife Danish?
No, she is German.
So is her family in Germany?
Yeah.
So then you go back and forth, like when you visit them, like at Christmas and shit like that.
Yeah, she doesn't have like too much family, so but her mom comes here and stays quite a bit, so it's really nice, and we go there when we have time, and she's really close with us, so it's nice.
Heidi Kroom, quoting the great president of the United States of America, Mr. Joe Biden, "I almost lost my Ferrari in a fire once. I think it was a Corvette, but I appreciate the quote." Sorry, we have a very sarcastic group. She's comparing his hardship to other people's hardship. Geez Louise, babies are a miracle. Yes. Greg Glassman, geez, Heidi. Yeah. Heidi.
Do you have a discount code to that parallel bar system you have? I found it on the internet, but holy crap, it's like
For the one for kids?
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
serious investment.
the tumble track one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was like $6,000 or something.
Oh, no. Let me see. You send me a link after the show.
Okay,
And I'll put you. Maybe that's because it's a United States company, and it's like send me a link after the show, and I'll
yeah.
and we'll figure out. No, it was expensive, but not like that. I want to say it was less than $1,000 with the pads, with
Oh,
really nice
okay. Well,
pads. Yeah.
I think I found it on the UK website, and there it was. I was like, okay, maybe I should do one more event, try to win, and then use the money for that instead.
No, send me a link. And to tell you the truth, Andre, I'll hook you up with the reps there too.
Yeah,
Because
please do.
I'm sure they would love to be affiliated with you, right?
That'd be cool because we really want to set those things up, and like especially like in the countryside, like Denmark is a really fit country,
Yeah.
but I've definitely been shocked coming from out of the city to out in the countryside. People are not very active, and especially like, I mean, seeing kids that are overweight, that's I would love to do something about that if we can. I mean, we have the gear, and Emilia, she loves to train, then definitely people can bring their kids too.
Is
Because
there?
I mean, I see your kids, it looks really, really cool. What you have set up for them, it looks like they have a great time. You managed to make it really fun for them to use their body, and that I think that's really cool.
I was thinking about that the other day, going back to the professional, what you were just saying, to tie into what you were saying about the coach relationship with the athlete. I noticed with my kids, I never take them. I rarely take them specifically to do a workout. Like I wouldn't tell my kids, "Hey, let's come to the garage and do Fran." What I would do is be like, "Hey, dude, you want to come to the garage and I'll throw balls at you and see if you can not get hit." So I'll put them in the garage. I'll get tennis balls and I'll throw them and they'll be like dodging them, right? And then after about 10 minutes of that, they'll be like, "Oh, can we play another game?" And then I'll be like, "Okay, let's see who can hang from a bar the longest." And I'll set the timer. And then next thing I know, someone will say, "Hey, could we do a workout?" And it's sort of that relationship I have as a dad. There's this
It's manipulation.
Yeah, it's manipulation. But I'm okay the whole time if we don't, right? I'll show you this thing the other day. My son did. He was like, I was like, "Hey, can I take a video of you doing a pistol?" And
You
he
have like
goes,
several instructors that come to the house too, right?
"Yeah, for fight. Mostly that's for gymnastics and fighting. Oh, and skateboarding. Now that I think about it." Let me show you this what he did the other day. Where is it? What managing too many Instagram accounts. I don't even know where the fuck it is. Okay, this. Look at this thing right here. So I just asked him if he would do a pistol, and then he comes in and he's like, "Hey, I can do it on the balance bar." I'm like, "No," "No, you can't." And he's like, "Yeah, I can." He's like, "Watch this."
That's impressive. How old is he?
Right?
6?
He's 8.
8? Okay, wow.
Yeah. And so it's kind of this just manipulation, right? Like you said. And it took me a while to figure this out. I have to bring down all my expectations. I just bring them down to 0 so that there'll be no fighting. And I probably messed it up with the first kid, the 8-year-old, but now I have 2 6-year-olds, and it's just like, just every time I'm the dad, because they don't do that with the coach. Every time I take my kids to play tennis, Andre, they cry every time. They play tennis with a coach 3 days a week. They never cry. And I'm like, that's because I'm the dad.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So yeah. Are you going to have more kids, you think?
I'm not sure. It depends. Like Natalie, she is 12 years older than me, so she's 40 and I'm 29, or she's 41. So we're a bit unsure, like because the age difference, of course, when women get older, it gets a little bit more difficult. So right now we're just really grateful to have one.
If it makes you feel, I had my first baby. My wife was 39.
Yeah.
And then she had twins when she was 41. All
Oh well.
natural, just like having sex on the couch and she got pregnant shit. You know what I mean? Just just all easy
Cool.
peasy. Yeah. So, and she's just a CrossFitter. She's just a regular CrossFitter, just a healthy girl. So,
Okay.
but we
Well,
didn't
yeah.
expect twins, but just just in case she was wondering. Yeah. And everything went smooth. Of course, the doctors tell you it's dangerous and all this shit, but
Mm,
we got midwives and they're like, nah, no problem.
okay.
No
Well, I think she's watching in the living room right now, this live thing. So
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll pass the information on if she doesn't already
Yeah.
have it, and
Yeah.
see what she says.
Yeah. And she could always bug my wife on Instagram. It's
Cool.
Haley Matosian. Yeah.
All
So
right. Deal.
yeah. Oh, look, Ken Walters, our second child. My wife was 40.
Amazing.
Yeah. So part of me is glad I waited a long time because I'm so calm. I think I'd have been more of a dickhead if I was younger, like if I was your age. But another part of me is now I kind of wish I had like 6 kids.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I could
well,
see myself having that feeling as well,
yeah.
because you realize how quickly they grow, and yeah.
It brings so much joy to my life. It's the most fun I've ever had watching them, just
Mm,
watching them.
yeah. 100%.
Hey,
100%.
I was watching the Clydesdale podcast you did with Kat Shear and Scott Schweitzer.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
about a year
As
ago.
well. Yeah.
A
It
great
must be.
podcast. Yeah, great podcast. I thought it was very interesting that Kat Shear asked you when you were going to go into coaching because she'd love to have you as a coach. It was kind of like she was a fortune teller. She
Yeah. I
was
mean, I've been coaching ever since I started CrossFit, but it's just
okay.
never been full on. It's been, at the semifinals this year, I was on the floor, and I also had like 9 individuals on the floor that all needed warm-up plans, strategy plans, timetables, and also like in between events, talking to them. So I think that's also when I realized, I, when I do something, I do 100%. I don't like the middle thing, and so it didn't give me too much satisfaction when I didn't feel that I was maybe pushing myself to the best of my abilities training wise, and neither giving, the athletes the best of me. And that, even though a lot of them did really well and the team also did well, it didn't satisfy me as much because it could have been better. One of them could have been better. And I think that's also what kind of pushed that decision. It's like, if I do something, I want to do it the best. And that's what gives me most happiness. And doing all of the things at the same time, even though I could manage to do it a few more years, perhaps, without going down with too much stress, it doesn't bring me enough happiness. And going all in on one is what gives me the happiness.
I want to ask you about your 200-pound back squat that you talked with Scott about. I thought that was an interesting subject. But before I do that, you were talking about how long it
200
took you.
pound?
You were talking, maybe it was 200 kg, but you said pound. You said I hadn't ever even done a 200-pound back squat. I'll get
No,
back to this. I'll get back to this. I'll get back to this.
Okay.
When I have this guy who comes on the show named Brian Friend. And when he first started coming on the show, he would do a lot of other podcasts also and shows. He would go on the Lone Ranger show. He would go on my show. He would go on the Morning Chalk Up show. He would do his own show. He would do all these different shows. And I remember other people in the space being concerned, like, hey, don't you want him just for yourself? And I'm like, no, I think it adds more value to my show, the fact that he does all of these other shows. Like I want him to do all of the other shows. I want him to commentate for the games. I want him to work over there in Europe. I want him to do shows with the Morning Chalk Up, because then when he comes on my show, it brings value to it. For me, that's the way I viewed it. I loved it. I didn't want to isolate him. I was thinking that about with you with a coach. Yella Hosta is one of your jellies, one of your clients. At first I was like, man, if I was an athlete, maybe I would only want my coach just to have me. But now that I'm actually thinking about it and I'm talking to you, I'm starting to lean the other way. Maybe I want a coach who has 6 athletes, because then he has 6 times as many data points. to bring into the mix. He's got the tall guy, he's got the short guy, he's got the buff guy, he's got the skinny guy. You know what I mean? He's got the guy with big feet, he's got the guy with short femurs, and now he, especially someone like you, who is so attentive to detail and is in with this desire to achieve. Do you have a thought on that? On
100%. Yeah, the goal for me is to have 6 individual athletes that I work with, and it would be 3 women and 3 men, and I have 5 right now, 3 women and 2 men. And the goal is also that they complement each other, they can help each other. So, for example, on the men's side, I have Houdet, and then I have a guy named Tommaso Pieri from Italy, and they're in many ways opposing forces. Tommy is extremely good at weightlifting and very strong. He's finished 17th at the semifinals in 321, 12
Spell his
and
last name.
221.
Spell his last name for me.
Pieri. And yeah.
Oh, I think I got the wrong one. Oh, we call that Pierre, Thomas Pierre. I don't think this is him.
No, Pierre is with 2 R's. It's only on 1 R.
Oh, all right. Don't get all crazy on me. Okay. Thomas, Thomas. Spelling is not my strong suit.
There's 2. I think there's 2 M's or 2 S's. Hang on, let me find him.
I want to look at this guy. I don't know who this guy is. I know who Yelly is. I know who Jelly is. Tomas. Someone will send me a. Oh, look at Vittori's getting all excited because it's an Italian. Someone. Pieri. Let's see if that gets me him. Oh, Tommy. Oh, I got him because Mort's Fiebig. Okay, I got him. Okay, I got him. Let's look at this guy. Here we go. Okay, sorry. Go on. I interrupted. So they're opposing forces. You were saying.
To some extent, yeah. So he's also very good at some of the things that Jelle is not as good in, and vice versa. Some of the things that Tommy is not as good in, Jelle is really good in. So they can push each other well. They have also been on training camps before with each other, and Tommy was also the backup for No Shortcuts CrossFit team, my team this season. And so I know him really well, and his goal is to make it to the CrossFit Games, and so my goal is to get him there, and we're not going to stop until that happens.
And all these athletes would need to have that goal, right? All your athletes would need to have that goal. If you're going to be one of those 3 men and 3 women, you better have the goal of going to the game.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. And so it's important that I can put them in good competitive environments that are healthy. And so first and foremost, they need to have the goal to want to be at the CrossFit Games and do well there. And second of all, they need to be good people that works in groups that can be, have good behavior and fits within our culture. Part of the being a coach is one part, and the second part is we're trying to build a brand with No Shortcuts, making it a mantra for life, and something that a lot of people like, attracting people that also want to live with No Shortcuts, or at least aim to do so. And so I have a handful of individual athletes, but my primary thing is that we have a lot of clients on our generic training programs. But I mean, back to the what you say in terms of putting them in good environments is the same for the girls that I work with. We have to be able to put them in with other girls that can push them to get the best out of them, but at the same time not make it toxic. So we host like 3 to 4 individual camps a year around their competition schedule, and that's one of the ways we do it.
What happens if you have 6 and someone approaches you who you really want to take on? Do you push out one of the other ones?
No, we say no. We say no to, and we have already said no to 2 games athletes this year. Like I don't want to overcommit to, like I said, I want to do my best, and if I don't feel I can do my best, and I know if I take on too many, I'm gonna do a disservice to the clients that I have, and that's also really important to me. That's also why if you're not a part of No Shortcuts, you cannot come on our training camps. There, we don't share information with competitors, because if my job is to help Jelle win the CrossFit Games or one of the others win the CrossFit Games, then I cannot tell the people that are going against them how we do things. Not that we have magic tricks. I have no clue if we do, but we don't want them to have our information, because my job is to help him get forward. So if I help somebody he's going to meet later on in the season, then that's potentially going to cost him points. And if the deal with him is that I'm 100% committed to getting him higher than he was the year past, then I have to do everything to protect that goal.
Are you tripping on that dude at all? Like, holy shit, like, this guy's amazing.
No,
you're not.
no.
You're not. Are you? So, what do you think about? Okay, let me start somewhere more gentle. What do you think about his games performance this year?
I think it was really good, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement.
How about if no one was listening, just you and your wife were just alone in bed and the baby's there? Would you ever be like, dude, I cannot fucking believe this guy Jelly. This guy is a problem for all the other athletes. Like, do you ever like indulge in just what a specimen he is and that you're going to get to work with him?
I mean, the most exciting fact of working with him is just the fact that he's extremely dedicated, extremely calculated, and pushes me to really push my boundaries in order to help him. Because when I give him a tip, he's already been looking into everything. When I say, you're going to do these paces, he's already watched every heat from every other semifinal for the past 4 years in order to know what paces he could hold. So to be on top of this guy, you need to push yourself. And that's one of the things I really like working with him. And he's if I say, all right, we qualify for the games, good, check. Leading up to the games, we need a kayak instructor, paddleboard instructor, mountain bike instructor, swim instructor, and that needs to be organized for Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. Can you do it? Within 24 hours, he has booked all 4 instructors for the next 8 weeks. Done. Like, that's, if I tell him to get a whiteboard to do the 4 columns and have it hanging in his fridge, the next day that's done.
Hey.
And that's extreme. Like, he is dedicated to a whole nother level. And he was an extremely exciting project, because I think a lot of people counted him out because he
too big, too old, too late to the game.
Exactly. And I just
that's a good shirt for him. That's a good shirt for him. Too big, too old, too late to the game. And then with like a games medal.
Yeah.
He has to win the games before he gets that shirt.
Yeah, I think so too.
So he can get better. That dude can get better.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what's really exciting. He's so far away from even being what I would consider great. He's really good in certain things, but he has also a lot of things we need to work on, and we are working on them really hard. And he's showing step-by-step improvements. So we just need to keep the foot on the pedal and be smart. And I know he's going to put in the work. So my job is just to make sure that he has the right template and he has the right support. And yeah, and it's just exciting to work with an athlete that's just an underdog. Like, I don't think a lot of people counted on him, A, qualifying for the games, and B, doing so good. But I told him when we started working together that
maybe one win is just some like freak outlier. Like, I think that we started being suspicious that he was a freak outlier, but he did so well.
Yeah, he did really well in long and short events.
Yeah,
he's done well in a lot of type of events, and that's what makes it exciting.
Going back to your brother here a second, if if your brother was a primary source of fuel, your relationship with him and the promises you made to him, once you made those, you achieved those things, you went to semifinals, you went to the games. Did you ever sit down and recalibrate or reorganize what your values are, or what your goal is, or what your fuel is to get to those goals, or to maintain those values?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm a big 5-year plan guy.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like reflection and planning, and it sometimes the plan change. So it's not that I make a 5-year plan, and if I decide to change direction, it's not the end of the world. It's not square like that. I've definitely learned to be not so black and white with everything, and more in the gray when I need to. But yeah, 100%. And once I had completed, some of the goals that we had set out to do, and I most of all just felt relieved, to be honest. I I just felt a weight lifted off my shoulder, not a negative weight, but just it was just like a decompression. I was just very happy, and I made it to the games next year after that too, with new sort of fuel, that I want to be, a good role model for my family. I want to keep pushing myself, and I don't want to show that, whatever you set out to do, you can do it. And I like proving that to myself, because if I can prove myself right, then I can use that in the next challenges that are gonna come.
Uh, you were talking about how Yella, what do you call him?
Yelle.
Yella. You were saying how Mr. Yella, how he pushes you because he's so good and he pushes you. And it reminded me of the relationship I have with my kids' coaches. I'm in competition with my kids' coaches.
Okay.
And
In
I
what
didn't know
sense?
this, but I never want to be, I would rather they not show up than I not show up with the kid. Like if we have an appointment, I want it
Mhm.
so they give me an assignment like, hey, your kid needs to start running more, or he needs to work on this. And I feel like the second I'm doing better job coaching my kid than the kid, I don't want that coach anymore. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like if the coach were to
Yeah.
call in sick more than once a year, I'd be like, fuck you, we win. Right. I want to be there more. I always want to get there before the coach with my kids. I always want to have my kids warmed up. I always want my kids to be clean. I always want them to be prepared. I have this, I'm trying to beat them. I want my kid to be they don't have to be the best athlete they have, but I want them to be like, I want to see, I'm always having my kid try to break that, like my coaches try to keep a professional line with my kids. And I want my kids' personality to try to break that line. And it's kind of fucked because if the coach does break the line, I'll think less of them. But that's what I'm
Okay.
trying to get my kid to do. I'm trying to get my kid to be their favorite student.
Mhm. I
Me to
think
be
that's good.
their favorite parent. Like I'm trying to get like the most out of the relationship. And one day one of the coaches said that to me. I'm like, damn, dude. I'm like, you keep me on my toes. He goes, and he just kind of like, you keep me on my toes. And then just, you know what I mean? But still didn't break the line. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
But I get that. There's like almost like a competition between you and Yella that's not like uh that's compatible,
But it's the same with, I
right?
mean, he's
Right?
one of them, but they're
Right.
the four others
The same
are
way.
also very, very, very similar in that way.
Yeah.
I would say each of them has their own type of strengths.
You don't want them to put a demand on you that you can't fulfill, and they don't want you to put a demand on them that they can't fulfill. Maybe demand's not
No.
the right word.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, when you say that you are to be the best, you have to prioritize yourself first. And do you think that and I don't mean this as a dig towards your family, but do you think because you're been so giving, because you wanted to be so much for your sister, because if your parents call you, people take advantage of you? Did you ever feel taken advantage of?
No, because
No.
I could always have said no.
Okay. Wow, that's some
And the
personal
same.
accountability. Wow, so you don't blame other people.
No, I would
No.
never, and they would never also, like, nobody would ever do anything to do a disservice to me or stand in my way, and nobody has ever done that. So I think it's just a natural urge to wanting to help others. It's the
Right.
same, when the semifinals comes around and the quarterfinals comes around, my workload triples. And if I prioritize myself first, I could just tell them, figure it out for yourself, because I need to focus on myself. But of course, that's not how it works. I have to prioritize them because that's what I'm hired to do, and that's also what I love to do. And yeah, that's why it's just difficult to wear different hats, and why it's beneficial when an athlete can primarily wear one hat. I never think you should when I say prioritize yourself, you should never prioritize yourself more than you prioritize your family, because I think the family is the foundation of everything. This is also, part of my job is to figure out what's the foundation for this athlete to do well on a daily basis. And we need to make sure those things are in balance. So if they have a big family, it's important they go see their grandmother every Saturday. Well, then we're gonna have to schedule training around it, and it's no problem because I I don't control the schedule, but I design the schedule. So if they tell me every Saturday I need to see my grandparent, and if it's really important to me, I go for runs with my dad on Wednesdays. Well, we can design the training program around it, because without those things in balance, then they're not gonna be executing well. And it's really important that they're honest about that, because I see that often. You start with a new athlete and they're ready to do whatever you want them to do, train 5 times a day, and but eventually, after a month, they're so out of balance, it's not working anymore. So then you go back, okay, what is it that makes you feel in balance in your life? Like, what are the things you need to do? And I mean, there's many amazing athletes that are parents that are managing to balance everything probably incredibly, because they are just good at scheduling things around both being a parent and being an athlete. And they cannot, if they are not a good parent, they're probably not gonna feel very good about being an athlete. Maybe that's my perception. Maybe that's not true. Maybe some people are just really good at saying I'm number one and everybody else works around my schedule.
Did you going back to the 200-pound thing? I thought I must have misheard, but I thought I heard you say in the interview that you had with Scott Schweitzer and Kat Shear on the Clydesdale podcast, you said something like, I couldn't even back squat. I just back squatted 200 pounds for the first time a year ago, or something like that. No, that wasn't accurate. I misheard that. Maybe it was 200 kilograms.
Yeah, that must
And
be.
you're like, and most of the games athletes could already do that.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely with 200. I was never very strong, and then I had an incredible strength coach named Casper Winder.
Was it kilograms or was it pounds?
It's kilograms. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
I mean,
okay.
I back squat like
okay.
350 pounds when I was 16. So
Okay. Okay. I back squatted 350 pounds. Never. When you were 16. Holy shit. Why were you back
that's when I was in
squatting?
America.
Why were you back squatting? Oh, because you were playing football here.
Yeah, and that was like the worst number on the team.
Hey, you came to America by yourself at 16?
Yeah, I was an exchange student in order to play American football here.
For how long?
It's 1 year.
You didn't see your parents for a whole year when you were 16?
No, and you're also not allowed to. Like, if you're doing the experience properly, you're not allowed to.
Yeah. How was that? Was that what city were you in the States?
It was in Michigan, and it was close to Ann Arbor, and it was a small city called South Lyon.
And are you still friends with that family?
Yeah, very good friends. They also have come to see me at Rogue and at the games, and
Wow.
mm,
What a trip.
yeah,
That was
it's
a good
crazy to think how many
experience.
years ago. Yeah, that was really good. I mean, I stayed with one family at first that was really not a good experience, and
Oh.
then I changed families, and that was great experience. So
Tell me about the bad experience. What, did they have you, like, cleaning floors and shit? Were
They
they
just
drug
did not
addicts?
have to. They were just crazy, to be honest. Like, they were like, you call your mom way too often. I'm like, I call my mom every second week. I'm like, and so they were telling the area rep, who's kind of like supposed to be my protector, Andre, he's calling his mom way too much. I just said to them, honestly, I call her every second week, and you just try to tell her that I'm gonna call her less than every second week, and she will show up here and she'll kill you. And then I wasn't allowed to have a girlfriend, but her son was allowed to have a girlfriend, and yeah, and so there was just, a lot of that, and I was not allowed to hang out with any girls, and I was not allowed to do a lot of things, and they were like constantly like sneaking into my room, checking all my drawers, and like seeing if I had like anything suspicious, and I was like starting to put like things in the door and then the drawers to see if they'd been into my room, and it was just a
Wow, it's
strange
almost
experience.
it's almost getting like a horror movie.
It was really really strange, like, and it was also, yeah, there was just a lot of like jealousy with the brother who also like played football, and it was just it was a strange experience. But luckily, the first part of the year I was there, I was playing football. So, and they only picked me up from the school at like 7 p.m. So basically, I was just at school. I got picked up by the bus, I don't know, 6:30, and then picked up at 7. So that's also why I trained so much, because football practice was maybe done by like 4:30 or something like that, and then the gym is open, and then you just train in the gym, and I think that's also how I got kind of like into CrossFit originally, because I joined the wrestling team when the football season was over. That was like legless rope clamps and tire flips and peg boards and all that kind of stuff.
Did you like wrestling?
Yeah, I really love. I mean, I think I love the preparation a bit more than the sport, because they never really took the time to explain me the rules, or like basically just put the other guy with the shoulders on the floor and get him pinned and you win. And I literally just got destroyed in every match because I had like very few takedowns, and yeah, the people I met were definitely far superior to me. Have you ever done wrestling?
A couple years in 8th and 9th grade. But I
Okay,
got to wrestle people who I was so little, I got to wrestle like little kids.
okay,
Yeah,
but
but I didn't like it's crazy that I liked the wrestling part, I didn't like the training part, which is ass backwards. The training part made me sick and gave me a headache and shit like that.
oh, I
But
love that.
I'm a pussy, Andre, like, I'm the wrong person to ask.
I don't believe that, but
No, it is, it's true, it's true, it's true.
also like the cutting weight twice a week. I mean, that builds some serious mental toughness. Like every Monday night, no dinner, all Tuesday, like nothing other than like 2 glasses of water, and then a 2-hour training with, you know, a sweater or even like a black plastic bag underneath the sweater on top of your body, hoodie on, hat on, jogging pants, and then they would tape an ice bag to the thermo like measurement of the room, so that the thermo thing thought it was like freezing cold, so it would
Oh,
jam up the heat in the room, and we would be like so exhausted by the end. So everyone would just kind of lay on their back in underwear, getting ready for the weigh-in. Then after the weigh-in, we would put on, I don't know, 15 pounds for the next day, just in liquid and food, and you do that twice a week. That builds just, I mean, you go a little bit crazy from that, but it's definitely a good mental challenge. Maybe not so healthy.
would you want your, daughter to be would you, if she wanted to get into CrossFit, would you encourage her to be a CrossFit Games athlete, or would you kind of steer the ship away from that?
Whatever she fancies doing, we support it.
Yeah.
So we're
I'd
definitely
steer
gonna
my
have
kid the
her.
fuck away from that.
Oh yeah, why?
Too hard. For it's not enough. Too hard. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if he
You don't
wanted
think
to,
tennis is too
he'd
hard?
want to.
Like tennis
Uh,
is way harder mentally.
right. I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't steer him towards tennis either. I don't know if I would steer him to become a professional athlete. Period. Unless it was. I don't think I would steer him to that. Period. I'd rather him
What
like
if
get
that's
into.
what they want?
I know. Then I'm fucked. You're right. I know. You're right. You're right. You're right. I'd rather he just release a sex tape or something.
I hope not.
That's not true. Hey, are the only famous guy I can think of? No, guys don't really get famous from sex tapes. You probably don't remember this. You're too young, but the one of the first sex tapes that was like leaked out was there was this woman named Pamela Anderson and this rock star named Tommy Lee. Do you know? Do you
I've heard of
recognize?
Pam Landison.
Yeah, and then Tommy Lee was a rock star, and they released a sex tape, but it was like
She
I
was
think it
from
was like
Baywatch, right?
right, and it was like, but I think it was before the internet, so like it's like you had to figure out a way to get the actual like big tape like this. But then after that, it seems like it's only worked for women to help catapult them. The men don't fare so good in it. I can't think of any men. Maybe it's just because I am a man. I don't know.
No comment.
Okay, no comment. You don't have any sex tapes?
No.
Out? No, good. Well, I don't know if that would help your training program.
Probably not.
Is so the only vacancy in the training camp is a female who has aspirations to go to the game, an individual female
No.
athlete. That's not available. One man. Sorry, one man is available.
Yeah,
No
but
females.
it's not going to be available until like after next season.
Okay, because you're already planned up.
Yeah, I just feel five is definitely enough. Like I want to also commit to at least going to one off-season event with them, and so that's already 5 events pretty much. So I'll be going to Rogue. I'll be going to Wadapalooza. I'm going to competition in Italy called Fall Series, and that's like just so far.
And there's no other athletes in your stable. Do you sell programming? Do you do any programming for other? You do. And what's that programming called? The same thing? No shortcuts?
Yeah.
And who's that for?
That's for anybody who wishes to compete either at the local competition, the local weekend competition, or at the CrossFit Games. It's a program that differs we have 3 different programs, they're different time. So if you have availability to train twice a day, then you have one program for that. If you have availability to train once a day, 90 to 120 minutes, we have one program for that. And then we have one program for approximately 60 minutes. And each of the program has basically 3 scaling options for different levels, ensuring that pretty much regardless of the level you're at, you're going to get the right stimulus from the gymnastics or the workouts that are prescribed. The strength pretty much relies the same, and the basic conditioning, well, actually even the basic conditioning would also differ in different length based on your level in that particular thing. And that's based on the training program I've designed for myself for all these years I've qualified for the games. And it's of course a program that's in constant progress, and it's constantly getting better because I have more time to read and educate myself, and also get more experience, and so yeah.
Hey, this girl is one of your athletes?
Yeah. All of the people in the pictures are.
This is Vidison?
Mm-hmm.
What was her first name again?
Rebecca. She's my first sort of elite athlete with no shortcuts. It's been 3 years with her.
Dude, she doesn't even look human. When I had her on the show, I couldn't stop staring at her. She looks like an avatar. She looks like she's a computer generated. What an incredible fucking human specimen. Her and Yella. Does she have any outlier traits? Like, what's her deal? Is she tall, or is she short, or does she have a long femur, or what? She doesn't even look human, this one.
She's just extremely consistent across all things.
Yeah.
That's her strength.
Wow, she's cool. Now I kind of see what you mean. Both her and Yellow, when they were on the show, seemed cool as shit. Laid back.
Yeah, and also she tells the truth, 100%.
What does that mean?
Really easy that means it's really easy to work with her. So if she's struggling or having some difficulties, she will tell me. And then when she tells me, we can work on them. But if athletes don't do that, then things build up and become problems. But because we have such a good communication, she makes it really easy for me to work with her.
Can you give me an example of like of telling the truth?
Yeah, like
it can be made up, but you know, the spirit of it being accurate.
Like if she is upset about something that happened in training and felt that she underperformed massively, she will tell me. And like that, I can tell her, hey, we're working on this. Everybody has bad days. That's what happens, and etc. So, but if she didn't tell me and it keeps happening, it's building up, maybe this is gonna ruin her confidence in those specific exercises that this scenario happened in. And maybe it'll happen every week. But instead of it happening every week, we can just put the brakes on it and change the narrative immediately instead of letting that become a thing. Because athletes, they build narratives around things. You know, oh, I'm good at weightlifting, or I don't like running. But my job is to remove all of them. It's all the perceptions they have of what they're good at or not good at. I have to create a clean slate and say, essentially, you're not good at anything. You're working on getting better at everything. And so everything is at a baseline. Even if Jelle is way better at running than he is maybe at other things, it doesn't matter. He can still get better at running. He's not great. He's good at it, but it's if you are into CrossFit, you have to be into always wanting more. And the minute I say you're a fantastic runner, like you're unbeatable, you can do this, like then we're gonna start losing the run events. And it also builds pressure and unnecessary pressure.
Yeah, I like that. What you said right there. Yeah, unnecessary pressure. What do you think about this? Some people I'm friends with were saying that it was dumb that they had the athletes do this. I don't see anything dumb about it. Do you think it's dumb? This using this implement that was designed for someone with one arm, then now to use it with two arms. Do you not like it?
Honestly, like, and this is gonna be like a lame answer, but this is the same conversation I have with the athletes, and I think it's just I've trained myself to think like this since the beginning, and it's I don't care what comes. It's not if we have signed up for a competition, they decide what the rules are and they decide what the workouts are, and so it's irrelevant for us to even discuss whether we like it or dislike it. That's you sign up for the event. Like it's CrossFit. They can throw anything at you. So if you're gonna spend energy on being upset about it, then you're probably not gonna win that event.
It's not a fucking lame answer. It's a great answer. I love it. I love it.
But I do think maybe there's a tendency now I do miss a little bit more basic work capacity. I love that, we've been progressing the skills so much in the past couple of years, and I think it was a necessary move, but sometimes you also don't need to keep making things even more fancy, even though we master, let's say, handstand walk ramp by now, and the top guys and girls can really pass through it easily. It doesn't mean that it's an easy skill just because we can do it easy. It's still a high skill, but the level is just higher. Well, then we can build more interference around it, but we don't need to. I mean, this is my point of view, but it's not. It's yeah. I think we have a heavy jump rope, a crossover jump rope. We have the drag rope. We have a speed rope. We have a single under rope. Maybe there's enough variations of the jump rope by now, but again, we don't make the rules. If we sign up for the event, it's that they're the boss and we're the players.
That's I didn't even think about it like that. I would rather see variation with one rope than the key introduction of continuous new implements. I don't know if that's exactly what you were saying, but I do see the value in it. It becomes kind of ridiculous at some point. How much time are you going to spend trying to master all the possible jump ropes that could come up in the event?
A lot, unfortunately. But I mean, the problem with that piece of equipment that should have been released maybe on the day then, because then a lot of athletes got to buy the rope. Maybe some athletes can't afford to get the rope. Maybe they live far away and ordering the rope.
Right.
No, and then you show up and half the athletes don't even get to do a clean and jerk because they have never touched that rope before. And so then it's a disadvantage. It's like when they introduce crossover double unders at the games. Like if you don't have that good beaded rope, you're basically screwed. And some people just kind of magically had it. It's a huge advantage.
Right. I like rope gate. We call that rope gate here in the United States. How some people just happen to have it. Hey, Andre, it's because they had great coaches.
Sure.
Let me ask you this. This is a great fucking question. I've never heard this question. Well, I've probably heard this question asked. I haven't heard this question asked in 10 or 15 years. What value does handstand push-ups have And specifically, what value do handstand push-ups have, or handstand walking have in a competition? You think it's an important skill, or it's just like we're like, fuck it, it's there?
I mean, you can ask that about anything, right? Like, I think
I don't
it's
know.
a great
Squatting I kind of get, because we do so much of it. Pick up your kid, take a shit, carry a bag of groceries from the car. It just seems just so fun. Running, I get, right? Um, just shit that like maybe like kind of makes us human, right?
Do you think strong shoulders is not essential for being a good human?
I do, but the upside down part is the part. I do think strong shoulders are like a fundamental, very important part of being a good human or capable human. But what about
So who cares how you develop them?
upside down? Well, okay,
Like,
okay,
that's just my question. Like, if we agree on that's essential,
right. So
then handstand walk and
and
handstand push-ups are a great way, right?
it
Like,
probably does something. I'm just totally making this up, but being upside down and doing it that way probably adds some incredible value to the nuances to the muscle that you can't get unless you are walking on them or being upside down. As long as you're not obese when you're doing it, or doing or you know what I mean, doing something to like fuck up the shoulder girdle.
yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's just a different stimulus also depending on like where the load is coming from, and it's very unique that it comes, like when you're inverted like that compared to
Right.
like sitting on a box doing dumbbell shoulder press. I also think with the gymnastic skills like handstand push-up and handstand walk, it also, like a lot of things that CrossFit do really well, it removes focus from maybe the traditional exercises that people have gotten bored of and puts more emphasis on exercises that are more skill-based or playful. And when you're 35 years old and maybe you've only been in a traditional gym and you're told, hey, let's try to get you upside down for the first time, that feeling can be an incredible accomplishment. And it'll probably excite you to come back instead of saying, hey, we're going to seated box dumbbell shoulder press today. Because I wouldn't say that's more functional. And you can line up a handstand push-up pretty biomechanically well, even just as well as you could do with an like incline dumbbell shoulder press. So from a structural standpoint, I think handstand push-ups can be a great exercise.
Yeah, and it's not gimmicky. It doesn't require some sort of crazy piece of equipment or anything. It's like, hey,
No.
And kids do it naturally. Like if you just leave kids out into a field, you'll see kids just start doing cartwheels and going upside down and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, like, I mean, bang for your buck, if that was going to be like a full body exercise, it also gives a lot more, like the balance it requires, the midline stability. If you're on an incline dumbbell shoulder press, if we're just focusing on the shoulders, none of that is really essential. I'm not saying like if I were to develop just shoulders purely, I would definitely pick the incline dumbbell shoulder press above the handstand push-ups. But for a general athleticism, and I think definitely the handstand push-up could be a better choice.
And even the best people at it in the world, it probably also forces an intention or focus that's different than just sitting in a chair and doing strict press. Strict press, you're like, I hope I turned off the stove. Oh God, did I leave the dryer on? Who's picking up the kids?
Yeah,
you're not doing that shit
point.
You're not doing that shit upside down.
No, that's good. And also like just the body awareness. I mean, you build great body awareness. If you can be upside down and be really efficient in that, it just overall you're probably just much better at moving your body.
Andre, just now I'm doing this and I'm sore. My lats, I've just started doing pull-ups again because I had a fucked up bicep. And yesterday I did just 6 sets of 10 pull-ups, strict, and I only do strict pull-ups. I'm an old guy, no kipping shit. But anyway, my question is as I do that, should games athletes always be sore? Should you always be? Is it okay at 22 years old to always be sore somewhere? Like I like being sore. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah, I got him. Should you always be sore a little bit?
No, it's probably a poor indicator of progress or a poor indicator of you have done a great job. I don't think you need to be sore in order to have done something substantial.
Really? It's a poor indicator?
I think so, yeah. And I think it's not a good indicator if you're sore every day. Like then your body's probably not recovering very, very well unless you have a great structured training program where your upper body might be sore, and next day you're not using the upper body. But I mean, I definitely think that if you feel beat up too many days in the week, you're doing too much or doing bad stuff. Like it's not well structured. You can do a lot, but if well structured throughout the week, it doesn't leave you broken. I think more often than not, the session should leave you
Not
with at
broken,
least
but sore.
5%.
Like, shouldn't I at least once a month have some glute or quad or ham soreness? No, it's not like I feel horrible if I do lunges and I'm not sore when I get out of bed the next morning. I'm like, oh, I fucking cut some corners.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's normal to have it maybe on a weekly basis, but not on a daily basis.
Not on daily.
I think if you wake up every morning and get out of bed and you're like, damn, I'm wrecked. I don't know how I'm going to get by training, and I'll need to stretch for 45 minutes before I can do something.
Right.
That's probably an indicator that, you're training too hard or it's structured poorly. And because I've done it, and once I changed it, I realized, wow, it's not supposed to feel like that. That's how I was taught. All the guys, all the knees were hurting on everyone I was training with. So I thought that was a normal thing. Like, your elbow's not hurting? Oh, that's odd. Like, you're not training hard enough. And then I learned that's not normal at all. Like, things should not be hurting.
Joe Westerland, gymnastics movements cannot be incrementally loaded in the way the barbells. The handstand push-up is a graduation from the push-up. Oh, I can see.
I don't know if it's a graduation from the push-up. I mean, it's a complete different press pattern. So I wouldn't say so. And I mean, you could load up the handstand push-up by adding a weighted vest or make it deficit or slowing down the tempo or pausing in the bottom, or I think there's a lot of ways to progress that for sure. It's not as incremental perhaps as, I mean, you could just a 1-inch deficit week 1 and 2-inch deficit week 2, or you could even add a band around your foot and your hands.
But what I think he's saying is you wouldn't do handstand push-ups unless you were proficient at push-ups, right? Like, probably you wouldn't go do handstand push-ups unless you had 20 strict push-ups, right? I think that's what I sort of saying.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a safe measurement.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I told my wife, I said, I don't know why I'm so excited about this morning's podcast, but I think it's going to go great, and it went great. You are awesome. You should be on.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're awesome. I can't wait to have you again. Thanks for doing this. What time is it over there?
It is 10 minutes to 6.
Okay.
So 7 hours difference, I think.
And when you're in Rogue, if I wanted to contact you and try to contact you, is WhatsApp the best way to do it?
Yeah, definitely.
You Danish people check that every day?
Yeah, okay. Definitely Instagram is not the best place.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't. What about texting? Do you text on the phone, or is that all fucked up to text with Americans? Like, you get charged for it?
No, that should work because of the iMessage, but WhatsApp is definitely preferable.
Do you take non-Europeans as clients? Would you take a non-European as a client?
I would. It definitely would make it like slightly more complicated, but I'll be willing to, because I mean, I'm going to all the American events. So, and as long as semifinals don't fall in the same weekend as the Europeans, then I could also come for that one. But yeah. But I mean, I think if you work with me, that the rule is that if you can't handle yourself, it's not going to work. And I will, of course, help you handle yourself. But that's why, I don't.
Wait, what does that mean? If you can't handle yourself, what does that mean? Oh, well, if you can't go to an event by yourself.
Yeah, like if I'm there, it's only a bonus, but you don't need me there to perform at your best. It's only that can be helpful, but it's not a necessity, because you have a time plan, you have warm-ups, you have cooldowns, you have strategies. We've talked about the strategies. You have a nutrition plan. So there's no decisions that need to be made. You've packed bags, plastic bags, with the clothes you're going to wear for every single event. You wake up in the morning, you just look at the plan. You don't even need to bring your head, because everything is planned out. So there would be almost no scenario where you would need to call me unless you're sad or something like that. But it's a bonus if I can be there to take you through the warm-up, so you don't need to, look at your phone or and like also have somebody who holds your water and those kind of things to make sure that nothing happens to your water bottle or
Pull the car around out front.
yeah, all the small things that can help.
And it's not even really an option until 2025 anyway.
Not for now, no.
Okay. And
I mean 2024 summer, I would say definitely there's.
Listen, someone
But
after this podcast is going to bug you. Great people aren't going to take no for an answer. It doesn't even matter what you say. Someone's going to bug you after this podcast and be like, look, dude, I know you got a spot. Quit being a pussy. Take me.
There's probably many other coaches that are happy to take them on.
No, I'm sure, yeah, but they're not Andre Houdet. Thank you for coming on, dude. I can't wait to talk to you again and continue to build a relationship with you. You're awesome. Congrats on the baby.
Thank you, and see you at Rogue.
Not in person. Maybe I'll bug you on the phone. I'll send you a picture of myself. Okay. I have to sit here in the office and like navigate. I'm like flying the ship while you guys like play in the universe.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Ciao.
Take care.
Andre Houdet. That was cool. Wow. I know it was wild because I didn't even get to follow my notes. I think that dude's a winner. Thank you, Ricardo Garcia. Ricardo. Have you ever commented before, Ricardo? I've never seen you. The Navy man, Austin Hartman, says that's a cool guy. That guy's a cool guy. I don't think you need guy twice. That guy's a cool guy. That's a cool guy. Ernie, never seen you. Do you comment? Ernie with this chick. Ernie Garza. Cool dude, yeah. Oh, shit. Here we go. Ricardo Garcia, are you serious? I always send money and you guys think it's rubles, but it's Rias. Oh, my bad. Because I'm a visual guy, dude. And the R isn't enough visual for me. Okay, how about her? I never seen her before. Fran time. Andre is a gem. That's a great picture. I had something in the oh shit. All right. I regret trying to pick out people who don't comment. I end up looking like a dick. I'm trying to look smart and like I'm attentive and I'm a douche. I had something I wanted to share with you guys at the end of this podcast. How about it that guy had a client that lost 250 pounds? What a beast. That's amazing. Paper Street Coffee, Swolverine, BirthFit. Oh, BirthFit. I got to contact her. Do you guys know what my most uncomfortable, worst part of that podcast was with Houdet? Do you guys know what it is? Do you know? Do you guys know? Anyone know? Anyone want to guess? Jeez, Audrey. Are you kidding me? That's your new avatar pic? Profile pic? Holy cow. Are you peeing? Yes, dude. You're so smart, Krista. No, I love an older wife. I loved everything he said when he's talking about the birthing and the steps and revisiting the hospital and getting feedback from the doctors. I wanted to fucking blow my brains out. Oh, that's so great. You got it. I was okay. The living in a field with like spraying and shit, that was making me a little uncomfortable, but yeah, I wanted to talk to him about birthing, but different show. But he's too smart to be like worried about, like all that. Like he's got the talking points down for like a socialist country, good welfare, good health care, good blood. It's like, dude, you don't need any of that, dude. Joe Westland, Sevan, the Brazilian currency is pronounced reais. Oh, that guy's Brazilian, Ricardo Garcia. He got like a mix up of names. Garcia is a Mexican name and Ricardo is like an Italian name. I guess then that you get Brazilian. I don't Adam Blakeslee, I thought him pushing back against Joe got squirrely. No, I also think that there's a little bit you have to remember is that dandruff on me? Oh, maybe I shaved. Oh, I shaved my sideburns. Why didn't anyone tell me I had some white hairs on me? Some grays. I don't think I think that remember the guy speaks like 3 languages. So there's he's processing a shitload. He's like one of those Macs that's got like 16 cores and shit. Like that dude's running a lot of shit. You notice that? I don't think it's dandruff. I don't really do dandruff. I don't have an itchy scalp. I think I shaved right here, like the squirrely grays up there. I need to shave in general. No, not beard drift either. Richie Rich. I was watching the one with Saxon earlier, noticed Make Wad's great again in the comments. Him and Saxon used to be training partners. That's really cool. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Jeez Louise. I can't always be in fight mode. Any update on the behind the scenes? Very soon. Very soon. I don't know. I have no idea. I just made that up. I know episodes 1 is nearly done, and episodes 2 is probably nearly done too. I don't think this is the right show to do this bit I wanted to do. Last night I thought it was a great idea. Lyrics for 2 Live Crew. Hey, we want some pussy. I was thinking the other day, this is a song I listened to 1,000 times, 4,000 times, 10,000 times. I listened to it 10 times a day for 3 years. I don't know how long. I don't know how many times I listened to this whole album. I had all the albums 2 Live Crew had. And everyone in my school knew it too. They would play this at like school dances and shit. And the lyrics are the group is 2 Live Crew. I think they ended up getting sued by the Star Wars franchise. George Lucas sued him because one of the guys named the lead singer was his name is Luke Skywalker. And I guess you can't have that name if someone, I guess only one person can have that name. I don't know. And I was thinking about just like all the people out there tripping on the definition of words. And it's like, dude, we had a whole entire fucking generation grow up with, hey, somebody say, hey, we want some pussy. Hey, we want some pussy. Let me hear you say, hey, we want some pussy. Hey, we want some pussy. It's crazy. And then there was that really famous line down here. I'll never forget it. I'll probably die. It says, if we can go backstage at the end of the show, I'll look at you and you will look at we with my dick in my hands as you fall to your knees. You know what to do because I won't say please, just nibble on my dick like a rat does cheese. Like I'll die knowing those lyrics. It reminds me of what my dad said. My dad told me, he's like, dude, you're going to look back when you're older and be like, what the fuck was I listening to? Philip Kelly, great lyrics. This is just one of many. This wasn't even like the most vile song I listened to. There's a crazy song that I used to listen to all the time that's a duet of Too Short and Biggie Smalls. Notorious B.I.G. Crazy lyrics, dude. The craziest shit. All just crazy sex shit. I wasn't really into the violent shit. Just nibble on my dick like a rat does cheese. Everybody say, hey. It's like, this is it. The whole fucking generation. And now you want to tell me that there's some words I can and can't say? Sorry, dude. I mean, I can try. I understand. I'm not saying that some words aren't hurtful and people don't get hurt. I'm not saying that. But at the end of the day, like, my crew's been desensitized, and I'm glad. Like we're good. We're good. I can't get wound up and get offended when the theme song for my entire the entire Bay Area of California from sixth grade to my senior year in high school was "Nibble on My Dick Like a Rat Does Cheese." And women were referred to as bitches and hoes, and it was in a loving way. It's just like guys were just fucking drug dealers. So, yeah, I remember, Mr. Watkins. I remember, I remember it was Al Gore's wife was trying to silence rappers. Remember that? Mad Marv, have you seen that chick that's trying to cancel Hiller 2.0? No, but that's another thing, dude. You guys, the I would never ask for someone to go away, like to not be allowed to do CrossFit or to be taken off of Instagram. I shouldn't say never. You'd have to be a pedo. But this thing is like, hey, I'm gonna all the threats, dude, and like I would never ask you guys. I would never ask you guys to go over and do something hurtful to someone. Never, ever, ever, ever. I thought about asking you guys to go over to James O'Keefe's Instagram account and demand that he come on my podcast. I've had that fantasy of like, God, I should ask them just to go over and ask him if he'll come on. Just start fucking blowing him up. Please come on the Sevan Podcast. I would never ask you to cancel someone. It's fucking crazy. Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember those movies where there would be the Ku Klux Klan and they would have pitchforks and they'd show up to someone's front door? You guys probably don't remember. They would be like black and white movies, like Westerns and shit. I would never do that. I would never, ever. I wouldn't want you to. I don't want anyone going over to someone else's house and being mean to them. If you come over to our house, yeah, we'll fucking slap you around, beat your ass. You drive your fucking motorcycle up on my front yard. You want a piece? We'll fuck you up. I'll fuck you up. I'm not even going to ask you guys to come over and fuck them up. I'm going to go out there with my boys and we're going to fuck them up. I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to pick a fight with someone and then be like, yo, help. I'm not doing that. There's dudes that people have fucking flipped me off in a car before, and then I like about to flip the guy off. I'm like, nope, that dude will whip my ass. I'm like, sorry. It's cool. I get it. You pull up behind me in a big truck and I'm doing 80 in the fast lane. I'm getting the fuck out of the way. But never, it's okay. But stop trying to stop threatening people. I'm going to go tell daddy. I'm going to stop the threat. Stop threatening people, physical, whatever. I can't tell if you were physically threatening people or not. Just stop. Be cool, man. My minivan does 80. I done 100 in it. Not proud of it. Well, a little bit. Does 80. I like to set the cruise control like at 70 or 75. Mike Artunian. There's an interview with Ice-T somewhere back when he said that something about white people listening to rap music makes them talk crazy, but it was still acceptable. Yeah, that's just crazy talk anyway, what he was saying. Makes everyone talk crazy. I wouldn't take anything away. I would still, if I could go back in time, I would still listen to Two Live Crew. It brought me to a lot of, I went through a whole phase of listening to the blues too. Lightning Sam Hopkins, Robert Johnson. I fucking used to tear the fucking blues up. Smoked a lot of weed to that shit. Eric Clapton. But yeah, the word thing you can't. Sorry, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Rodney Dangerfield. No one I listened to had a clean mouth. No one I listened to had a clean mouth. Stop calling the cops. Don't tell me what to do, bitch. Punk ass bitch. I'm gonna tell my friends to come over to your fucking house and get you. Everyone go to David Weed's Instagram account and report him right now. How dare you? But every time it came to me, I was shit out of luck because I'd stick my dick in and it would get stuck. The girls would say, stop. I'd say, I'm not. That's enough. I quit because you're busting me out. I lost my place and just made the rest up off the top of my head. The girls would say, stop. I'd say, I'm not. That's enough. I quit because y'all busting me out. And please don't knock until you've tried it. So to all of you hoes, let's have group sex and do the Rambo. That didn't flow too good. Dude, this is the theme song for my fucking junior high and high school. What do you want? What do you want? Everyone, not just mine. I mean, this was like cassette tape, by the way. This one in NWA, I had so many cassette tapes there because I would burn through them. And I would play them on. Do you know what I would play them on? Let me see if I can find it. TSR tape deck. You guys are going to love this. TSR, wow. $220 in it. TSR, let me see. It's Radio Shack. Radio Shack. So I had a computer. Yep, there it is. $50 used. Oh my God. They have the tape deck my mom used to have too. So I had this computer. It was fucking high tech, and you had to you had this tape deck that you plugged into your computer, and that's how you loaded stuff onto your computer, right? Well, of course, I sucked at the computer, so I would bring that tape deck to my to school. And I would leave it in my locker, and kids would come over and listen to music in my locker. God, I was a little punk. I would let it play in my locker even when I wasn't in class. So like you could if you went by my locker and put your ear to it. Yeah, it was trash. The TSR 80. Is that what the big white thing was that I had it attached to? Hang up? No. I'm not gonna do that. What are you talking about? I'm not hanging up. I'm gonna show you the tape. My mom had a tape deck too. I thought I saw a picture of it. God, you guys, we used to do the funniest things. My friends and I would always record stuff on tape players, conversations, eavesdrop. We would tell stories. We would play characters, and we would record them and listen to them back. Yeah, I went through a shitload of batteries. Sevan, may you please comment on the lyrics from the hit song Truffle Butter? Do I know that song? It doesn't ring a bell with me. Truffle Butter. Lil Wayne. Oh, Nicki Minaj. Oh, yeah. I think I know this song. I didn't know that was the name of this song. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, this isn't the. Have you seen the? I like the song. I don't know this song. I don't think. Do I? Oh yeah, I know this song. I like the song. It's more crazy, vile lyrics. I like the song that Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, Drake, and who's the other guy who does it? Who's in it? He sings the hook. And it's got the total Nazi. They got the Nazi animation going on. It's crazy. Lil Wayne, Nicki, Drake. Who's the other guy in that song? Chris Brown. Only. I like Only. Yeah, look at this. This is crazy. Look at this video right here. They got the full fucking Nazi propaganda shit going too. Not that I'm it's fucking wild. Look at this shit. You guys ever seen this? Up in the sky. Sparks in the Wait, let me see if I can find this shit. Look at come from that video. You know, LA traffic had a city slow. She was sitting down on Look at that shit. Wild. Who designed that? They made 2 videos for this song. They got the animation but I was still staring at the titties, though. Yeah, low key and maybe high key. I've been peeped that you. Yeah. I'm a product of my music. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that's a great song. It's called a lyric video. Oh, is it? It's called a lyric video? Oh, looks like Nazi propaganda to me. Neither of the videos for that song are great. They could have been better, I think. Nicki Minaj is a trip. All right. I don't know who's coming on tomorrow. There was a chance that Tim Murray was coming on. I think you guys know him affectionately as Tater Tot. Tim Murray. And I think we were having trouble scheduling a time. Tim Murray is tied for the fittest dwarf with Mr. Whittius. And I think there's a chance this dude might be coming on. Or was. I think we're rescheduling him. Sorry. He was coming on, and I think we're rescheduling him. So, soon. Hey, tomorrow, there's a very good chance that tomorrow, what's his name, will be in the house. Mr. Souza, Matt Souza. Oh, that might be cool. Hey, dude, Fit Wars with Tim versus Mike might be good. I'd cover the shit out of that. Souza, yeah. All right, so this guy might be coming on tomorrow. It's Tuesday is Greg Glassman's day. He's taken off in an airplane to a faraway land, so I'm not sure. And he's in a way different time zone now. Kristen Kettler, dear Sevi, dear Sevi, I know you would prefer to talk about Two Life Crew and the origins of your potty mouth. But if I may, I'd like to switch the subject to the Tahoe Challenge, which you filmed in 2010. You and your lovely wife, Haley, filmed, to be more accurate. I also believe Carrie Peterson was there, and he also helped film it. God, you know a lot, Christian. That was the incredible year that the Rogue athletes versed the Again Faster athletes, with such talents as Rich Froning, Miko Salo, Graham Holmberg, Spieler, Camille LeBlanc, Blazinet, and others were there competing against each other. It's amazing, crazy to hear Camille call Dave a pussy. Oh, how times have changed. One of the original CrossFit shirts said CrossFit.com, I'm not a pussy anymore. That's what it said. Big on the back. CrossFit.com, I'm not a pussy anymore. Someone put Spiegel on timeout for that dumbass picture and keep telling me to hang out. Are you a wrench? Put yourself on timeout, motherfucker. Pussy. Yeah. Don't just ignore Justin V's comment. Dude, you guys, stop. Oh, here we go. How You going to ignore my comment when I paid $1.99? Literally have. You literally have? What the fuck kind of? Because I only read English. Thoughts on the latest morning chalk up post? The fuck did they post? Morning chalk up. Where would I go? I'm assuming now that you're saying post, I think you mean Instagram. Morning chalk up. Dude, it's I was actually thinking about James Townsend and I was actually just thinking about James Townsend. I haven't had him on a while. I talked to my wife about that. Hang clean plus power clean. My God. I don't know. I can't even process that shit. I don't deadlift that. I don't know if I have 355 pounds worth of weights in my garage now that I think about it. Yeah, it's fucking savage. Hey, what's he have on his ankles? Are those just knee sleeves that are rolled down, or are those ankle weights? Yeah, that dude never disappoints. That dude never disappoints. I don't know. He's a fucking stud. Wrong post. Fake weights. Wrong post. That's 3 times Sevy's weight. Not 3 times. Wrong. Not that post. You have a lot of mats though. I do. And balls. Next post. That is the next post down. Let me see what's going on here. The case for moving away from gender. Dude, desperate times, dude. Desperate times. I'm focused on setting people free. They're focused on continuing to fucking build cages. Yeah, it's yeah, call it what you want. If you've ever stepped into a CrossFit box, odds are you've heard 35-pound barbell referred to as a woman's barbell and a 45-pound barbell referred to as a men's barbell. Activist? Oh, this chick's fucking psycho, dude. Activist and owner. I don't even know if that person. That's not even a. I don't. Do you guys know that person's history that they're commenting on? Activist and owner of Rocket Community Fitness, Elisa Royce. Do you guys know who that is? Wow. Oh my. Yeah, she isn't even an affiliate owner, dude. It's man. God, anytime I just want to. It's weird how poop attracts flies, isn't it? No matter what. Oh God. Oh, comments are now off for the post. Yeah, I mean that makes total sense, right? Aren't they like isn't Morning Chocolate supposed to be like a newspaper or something? That's what it is, right? It's a modern day newspaper. What do they call those? Do these have a name? I think of them as a newspaper that like you used, but now since it's 2023 and we don't have newspapers, it's stuff like Morning Chocolate. Yes. I don't even know if I want to give her any attention. But fucking crazy town banana pants, dude. Hey, and she knows she's crazy town banana pants. You know what I mean? It's like one of those people who goes to bed at night and is like, fuck it. It sucks to be me. Like, imagine. I can't imagine Morning Chalk Up featuring her. I guess I can. I don't know. I don't know where to. I don't know. If Greg comes on tomorrow, I can ask him about her. He would fucking tell you some crazy stories. I know some fucking just off the wall nutball stories about when I've been in the same room with her. Yeah, it's it would be like to I don't want to say anything disparaging. I really don't. Yeah, I have no issue with I personally like it that I walk in. I like the two sexes. I love the two sexes. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. And if someone doesn't love them, that's fine too. But then just don't use them. Just say the 35-pound bar and the 45-pound bar if you want. But like I like I mean, I haven't been to a mall in forever, but when I was a kid, I loved the female level and I love the male level. And I like when I go to a clothes store, I like the clothes to be separated. You can't do that in California anymore, by the way. If your store makes over a certain amount of money or has over a certain amount of employees, you can't separate the boys' clothes from the girls' clothes. There's all sorts of weird shit. Yeah, it's not healthy for anyone. It's not healthy for anyone. Oh man. Yeah. It's all that shit. Vindicate. The gym is in Seattle. I don't like any of that stuff. R word, N word, where you just can't say the word. I'm not doing any of that stuff. It's all unhealthy for the human brain in the big picture. And for these people who think like no one's making a case that you should say these words. The people who think that or that these words couldn't be hurtful. Anyone who thinks that that's the point is completely fucking not understanding the point. You're like looking like this. It's the fucking big picture. It's the big picture. And none of us are trying to tell you not to be offended by that word. Be offended by it. Just don't demand it on us like it's a reality. Don't bring your crazy to us. But we're totally like there's things that offend us. We're not asking you not to do those things. Yeah, it's a slippery slope. No one's saying that you should have a license plate that is condoning the use of a license plate that has a racial slur on it. But you don't call that guy's fucking work or try to or start saying you can't have those words being used. Where does it end? Even if you don't like that word, there's tons of shit that I don't like. I'm not trying to fucking put an end to it. Oh, be sensitive, Sevan. The emotional appeal doesn't work. You're trying to do an emotional appeal to me on something that could end up ruining the rights of everyone on fucking planet Earth? No, thank you. I just want to just bring logic to it. Stop trying to bring emotional appeal. Well, they have a daughter with Down syndrome. Cool. Then the friends that they pick can be sensitive to that. When I worked in the home for mentally disabled adults for 5 years, I lived there. I didn't walk around. I never said the word retard. I'm not in that environment anymore. When I was 16, I didn't like it if someone said I had a big nose and was short. That hurt in that environment when I was in high school. I didn't go to the fucking principal and tell on anyone or try to ban those words big and nose and short. But now I'm in an environment where I'm on a podcast and I'm 51 and I fucking love those words. I'm leveraging them. What if I would have got those banned? Big nose, short. You guys see it? No one's condoning everything is situational. Pick the people you want to hang out with and it's cool. But to call someone's work or to start saying the stuff that some of these people are saying, I'm going to call so-and-so and end him forever. He's never going to get to do anything with CrossFit ever again. And he's going to be poor. He won't get to be rich like Greg. Like, dude, first of all, there's no chance of that happening. And second of all, because I'm going to sit here every day and do my thing. Unless you're talking about physically coming to my house and killing me, which I don't think you were, and I hope you weren't. But some people have told me that you're dangerous. That maybe you were threatening my family. I don't know. But dude, I would never do that to you. I would never suggest anyone do anything harmful to you, ask you to lose your job. I would never, and I want you to win the games again next year. And I've no even like ill will against you like that. You've gone completely fucking off your rocker. Cave Dastro, did you ever think that you'd have less freedom at 51 years old than when you did when you were 11? Oh, you mean like nationwide? No. I'm more free though, personally. I'm way more free. Dan Guerrero, also your nose is not a disadvantage. It must allow for some sick airflow, except for you know what's happened is I jumped into a swimming pool, fucked up on drugs and alcohol. And and you know what happened? I hit the bottom and broke my nose. I'm lucky I didn't fucking die. And so I can't breathe through one of my nostrils. Like to breathe through it, I have to go like this. Oh, that must really creep Heidi out. And at night, pretty much like there's one side I can't sleep on because it slowly collapses and closes. And then I fucking wake up and have to turn on the other side. I never had photography insurance, even though everyone told me I should get it. Justin V, snipping away at freedom of speech one word at a time. Yeah, so it's only going to make people dumber and less happy. So I don't know what deviated septum is, but yes, I definitely have that. You think Yellow Hosta is going to do top 5 next year at the CrossFit Games? Oh, how did the Bears do this week? Did Chicago win? Did they play again? Did they have a bye? How did they do? I assume if Tyson played, you guys would have fucking blown up my fucking Instagram. Ken Walters, your nose actually saved you, Sevan. Thank God that nose cushioned the blow from getting a broken neck, or else you would have been an adaptive athlete. Eric Weiss, Bears suck, their QB sucks. Oh, Bears lost, their QB sucks. Oh, no. Cave Dastro. I just felt the air pressure change in my state when Sevi took that big sniff. All right, fuck you guys. I won't tolerate that. Show's over. Love you. Bye-bye.